host to the Carolina Panthers. Two teams that are not good. Not good at all. But we hopefully, finally, will get some football. And we'll have Matt Dolloff in studio at 8 o'clock today. He's going to come in, hang out with us for a couple of segments. We got in or out later on, the musings, all that fun stuff. As we're here till 11 o'clock at 617-779-0985. You can join us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/thesportsout. I see 420 fishing in there, Doobie's Wings. Baba Ganoush already in there getting it started for us tonight. But that's where I wanted to begin. I was on with Alex Barth yesterday of 98.5thesportsup.com. We did a ton of camp stuff, but things kind of heated up today. Speaking of heat, it was hot. But Tyquan Thornton, back or injured, I don't know what it was. KJ Osborne had one of his best practices and is starting to get a little momentum at the wide receiver position. Who is playing tackle? And what's going on with the defensive line with the loss of Christian Barmore? And, of course, everybody is talking about Drake May. Is he feeling more comfortable? Is he progressing every day? I'm also curious what we'll see this Thursday in the preseason game. What type of offense will we see? Will we even see Drake May? And what type of defense will we see? Will it be a vanilla defense? Probably. We also get to see the first action of Gerard Mayo in charge. And I saw this quote over the weekend that kind of interested me. He had a quote on Moving the Chains on Sirius XM. I hate when people say players coach. I truly believe in being demanding without being demeaning. For me, it's striking the balance to treating these guys as professionals, but also holding them accountable to everything they talked about on day one of the spring. And he keeps talking about competition. Competition. Do we have a competition at quarterback? I don't think there is one. And not because anyone has said that to me or told us that, but the Patriots have set the expectation since day one regarding their plan at quarterback. They signed Jacoby Brissett. They brought in Alex Van Pelt. They're running that offense. That's what it is. Now, there is a question. Does the offense fit Drake May? That's a valid question. Some of the early struggles that Drake May's had at camp. Could it be a part of Alex Van Pelt's offense? Is he the right fit? Is Van Pelt the right guy for a Drake May offense? I don't know. I'm curious to see what it looks like this week. And hopefully we do get a first look at Drake May. And I'll tell you this, as far as the rookie quarterbacks go, Caleb Williams didn't play in the Hall of Fame game. And he's already been pretty much announced the starter there in Chicago. But Jayden Daniels is going to play for Washington right away. Will we see Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick for the Panthers? I don't know if we will. Andy Dalton's their backup, and they have Jack Plummer, who is a 6-year college football player. So maybe we'll get a big taste of him. But how does it all look this week? How does it all look? And these are, between the Panthers and the Patriots, the two worst teams in the NFL, according to Vegas odds. Patriots and Carolina. Carolina has actually moved to 5 wins. Patriots sit at 4 wins at the moment. But I do want to get into Jacoby Brissett today and his impact for the team and leadership and things of that degree. But I was reading this today from Mark Daniels of Mass Live, and he mentioned Jacoby Brissett is consistent. Drake May is athletic. And both were evident during day 10 of Patriots camp today. And I wanted to float this out to people. What's more important for the Patriots this year? I've talked about what's a successful season. This is different question. Do you want the Patriots to compete and win games? Or do you want them to continue to develop and over the next couple of years make the additions, spend the money, draft the right guys to then build and grow with Drake May at quarterback? Because if you want to compete this year, if you want them to have competitive games and look way better than it was a year ago, the guy's Jacoby Brissett. And again, I think the Patriots have always set the expectation that Brissett was the guy and that we're going to bring Drake May along. And there are plenty of people out there that will tell you that Drake May isn't ready yet. They'll tell you he's struggling in practice. They may even tell you he doesn't look like the third overall pick, and the guy that was drafted in the 6th round looks better. You may hear that from people. But both can be true. Drake May can flash athleticism. Jacoby Brissett can be the most consistent. And if you do want a successful season as far as competing every game and potentially making the playoffs, no doubt about it, Jacoby Brissett is the guy. But what's in it for the coordinators? What's in it for Alex Van Pelt? A bunch of guys turned down this job, mostly from the McVay tree. They could have brought Nick Caley back. Zach Robinson could have been a guy that came in here. It sounded like it was about money and control, all those type of things. Alex Van Pelt got fired from the Cleveland Browns and had play calls removed. That's a fact that happened last year, and he's also being paid by Cleveland. But this offseason, and what's happening at camp, and all the development of Drake May, is Alex Van Pelt the right guy for that? Jacoby Brissett certainly is. And from everything I'm hearing at practice, the offense looks better. The defense was ahead for a little bit. Now you're starting to see the consistencies and the athleticism from both quarterbacks. But long term, was Alex Van Pelt the right fit? We've been talking about Gerard Mayo, and a successful season starts with him, and I completely agree with that. And you can read that article over at 985thesportsup.com. That's what Skaz wrote. I think it starts with Gerard Mayo. We'll see him with a headset on. He'll be making calls. 4th down. Who will punt? Will you do field goals? Those kind of things. I'm going to be watching Mayo. But at the same time, for the future of this organization, was Alex Van Pelt the right hire to help develop Drake May? And I'll stand by the take, May doesn't have to play to develop. He doesn't. But Brissett will. And I think that helps Alex Van Pelt. Does Van Pelt help Drake May? We'll start there tonight at 617-779-0985. We'll get into all the quarterbacks that we're playing today. There's a bunch of other stuff regarding the Pats as well. Matthew Judon spoke to the media today. Also, the Red Sox have a huge series this week. They took 2 out of 3 from Texas, and now they take on the Royals, and the pitching staff is set. Right now, the Red Sox are one of the top hitting teams in all of baseball since the All-Star break. This is a big one tonight, and there continues to be rumors about Brandon Ayuk linked to the Patriots. Now we're hearing another team in the mix as well. Your thoughts on all these topics tonight as we're here until 11 o'clock. The phone number, 617-779-0985. We got Christina, our intern here. Skaz is here as well. I'm Joe Murray. You're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening.
Denver, ideal timeline? I mean, they have the luxury of Jacoby Brissett there available to start. When would you, though, like to see Drake May start?
As soon as possible, Hannah. And, they do have the benefit of having a true pro in Jacoby Brissett there. And I think it's good for all players, anyone playing that position, to learn from someone like Jacoby Brissett. But quarterback's the hardest position in all of sports, and you generally get better at it by playing it. And so I think this idea of it not being a super talented roster in New England to maybe make it a red shirt type of year for Drake May, I think that would be a mistake. Look, if you don't want to start him week one, fine. I'd be fine with that. But I don't see any reason why Drake May is not the starting quarterback by week 4 at the absolute latest, unless you're running into issues that, like, he can't call the play in the huddle, which, quite frankly, I don't think you're going to run into that type of stuff with Drake May. I think you need to get out there, let him play, let him learn on the job. I think that's the easiest and best way to learn to play at the pro level.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. That was Tim Hasselbeck saying, yeah, put him out there. Let him learn on the fly. And I disagree. Hey, listen, I want to see Drake May play. He's exciting. I watched a lot of him in college. He had ups, downs. He struggled against pass rushes. And I think the speed of the game will be his biggest issue. And it's mostly like that for a lot of college quarterbacks. I think the biggest issue for Drake May right now is his experience. I've been talking about experience when it comes to quarterbacks when they leave college and come into the league. He doesn't have a lot of experience. The outlier to all of this is Anthony Richardson. Last year, Anthony Richardson was raw. He was raw. Could barely run the huddle. Only played a couple of games at Florida. And then came right in for the Colts and made an impact, but really was good around the goal line and then had some concussion issues and missed the rest of the season. But at times it wasn't pretty, but he was dynamic. It was flashy. And now the Colts, they have a guy that they believe in. They think they have their next guy. Their wide receiver room is stacked. It really is. So they have the quarterback now. They have the receivers. They've drafted the linemen. They're ready to go. But they do in high school because of COVID. Does not have a lot of experience, but has a ton of athletic ability. So I just don't agree with the take that he needs to play to learn on the job. He doesn't. And there's a history of that. But I would like to see him. It is twofold. This preseason, I'd love to see Drake May, at least for a couple of series. And I'd like to see him play with whoever they consider the top guys. And a lot of starters don't play in preseason game 1. I get it. But I think May just getting some NFL looks and watching a pass rush and just being out there, we don't have to judge him for that. I know we'll do it anyways. But just because you've seen a game doesn't mean they're working on it. And especially in the preseason. And I'll get into a little bit later the reports about quarterback numbers in practice and, people are saying that he's struggling so bad and went 3 of 11, but there's so many things that go into that. So I don't care about your numbers. How did it look? Speaking of how it looks, Jacoby Brissett's the guy, everybody. He is the guy. He's been the guy. The Patriots have set the expectation. He's the guy. And I also think that Brissett's playing a key role with the Patriots as well. You've seen him groom Drake May. I've seen him talk to Joe Milton and even Bailey Zappi. It's funny, when I was down at practice, Brissett and Zappi were together, and it was Zappi, it was May holding Brissett and Zappi's helmets like the rookie, while Milton continued to work on short yardage stuff. But Jacoby Brissett, from everything I gather, looks like the perfect fit for a Van Pelt offense, right? They like to use their tight end. They lean on the running game. They do play action. They're long developing plays. But Brissett looks sharp in practice. He's embraced the leadership role. It's a young team. 2 rookie quarterbacks, Drake May, Joe Milton. And I'm reading from Phil Perry here of NBC Sports Boston. Brissett has practically qualified for the role that he spent in 2022 with Alex Van Pelt when he was the Cleveland's offensive coordinator and he was the quarterback. And wide receiver Demario Douglas says that Brissett has been instrumental in helping his teammates pick up Van Pelt's offense. Talks about his leadership. When he was asked about Brissett, he said he's been in the game for a minute and he knows. He played under Tom Brady, so he's got great knowledge of the game, and he's teaching it to us. Douglas revealed he's been sitting next to Brissett during team meetings and that the 9-year veteran has taken it upon himself to make sure the 23-year-old wideout is on the same page. Mentioned that he sits next to him. You see this, you see that. Those are the things that Brissett's doing. He added that as we break it down, it gets easier on the field. And all reports that Brissett was really consistent this weekend and even today. And while everybody's watching Drake May, the number 3 overall pick, Brissett has taken reps as the starting QB throughout camp and likely will be QB1 unless May makes major strides during the preseason, which, again, the Patriots have never set that expectation. It was Gerard Mayo who did that. Gerard Mayo said that if Drake May lights it up in the preseason, he has a chance to be the starting quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's played 79 NFL games. He started 48 of them over 8 seasons. And his knowledge of the current offense right now and his ability to communicate with his teammates, he is a great leader and the perfect guy for this. Hunter Henry said he's been great. On and off the field, he's been fantastic. He's been fun to work with. He's been fun around the guys. He's been in a lot of different offenses. He's been in this offense. He's been in others. And he can see how communication is truly important. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you Brissett is a top 15 or 20 quarterback in the league. But is he a top 32 quarterback in this league? Absolutely. And the Patriots aren't expected to win many games. But I'll tell you this much. A lot of the future of the Patriots, Brissett's a big part of it. When you look back, and I'm just going to go to the Celtics for a minute. The Celtics won a championship this year. Kemba Walker's announced his retirement. Gordon Hayward's announced his retirement. And all these guys do is talk about how impactful those players were for them now to win a championship. It's going to be the same for the Patriots. They're going to look back at the transition of Bill Belichick to Gerard Mayo and mention Brissett's impact. I mean, you just heard Demario Douglas say he played with Tom Brady. That's a flex. So I think Brissett is the perfect guy for what they're trying to do right now. But he's the guy. He's the starter. And I know among some people, they think if he's the starter, you're going to stink. I think he's the perfect guy to help the offense be sustainable, but also work with guys and help groom young quarterbacks. He's done it before. And I'll just say one more thing about Alex Van Pelt. Last year, the Cleveland Browns had major injuries at quarterback. Deshaun Watson went down. They had to play DTR at times, and he looked good. P.J. Walker won games for them, who played in the XFL. So he's very good at working with quarterbacks. And I think Brissett being here, it's going to help Alex Van Pelt. I still question, though, if he's the right guy for the development of Drake May. Because I think Brissett's the right guy in front of May. But is Van Pelt and his motives this year to help groom Drake May for the future? Or is it to show that he can be an offensive coordinator and maybe get a job elsewhere? It happens all the time in the NFL. And it happens all the time with offensive coordinators. And again, Drake May is going to be the future starter of this team. Is Alex Van Pelt the right fit? Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. Let's start it off tonight with Eric. He's in the car. What's going on, Eric?
Hey, Joe. How you doing, man?
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. I'm actually driving into Dorchester to meet a buddy of mine.
Nice. Lambert's. Got to go to Lambert's.
Yeah. I don't know where we're going yet, but we'll see. But, hey, you asked earlier your thoughts on the Patriots season, right? I'll give you mine real quick. So I'm with you. I don't think Drake May has to play to develop, but I think he will develop quicker if he plays. So I hope the conditions arise, the Pats feel comfortable putting him in at some point in the season, right? Because what I want to see out of the season is two things, Joe. Two things. Number one, some evidence that Drake May is going to be a good player and is not going to suck. That's number one.
Well, I think we're seeing that already, though. I think we've seen that when you're down there.
Absolutely. Trending in the right direction, but, live bullets are different. So we'll see. I'm an optimist, so we'll see. The second thing is I'm not concerned about win totals this year. I think what's predicted is the probable outcome, placing, last, second, third, somewhere in that bottom three. And, some competitive games to show us what we have for talent, who should stay, who should leave. And here's why, Joe, that's a good thing, okay? Let's say next year the bottom three are the Patriots, Carolina, and Washington. None of those teams are going to pick a QB. That means your number 2, number 3 pick has huge value because number 4 is going to get the first QB off the board. We all can agree, I hope, that there's more holes to fill here to get back to where we want to be. So next year, you could go into next year's draft knowing, okay, Drake May is the real deal. Let's trade the number 2, 3, 1, whatever pick for someone else's 5 this year, 1 next year, fill some holes, and have that rolling single-digit draft pick for 2 years so that 2 years from now, you could be on the cusp of something really good with the right free agent additions and the right draft picks. What do you think, Joe?
Well, I mean, I appreciate the take, and I do think that over time, it is good to learn on the job. For example, here in radio, right? You want to get into the business, you need to learn by doing. It's just what you got to do. But at times, when you're in other situations, a bad manager can derail you, right? A bad game plan, a bad scheme. This is the agenda for the week. Those type of things don't always set individuals up for success. They might set the manager up for success to get the next job. And I'm not trying to link that to the Patriots, but it's exactly what I'm doing. I think Alex Van Pelt's a good coach. I think he's a good fit for what they're trying to do. And I think Brissett here is the right guy to bring, consistency and stability to the Patriots offense. But is he the right guy for Drake May? I don't know. I just don't know. But I think he's developing at practice. I think he's getting better every day. And from what I hear from Alex Barth, we talked yesterday, it's not so much about the offense they're catering to Drake May. It's more about the different defenses that they're showing him. And Brissett's been working with him. Hey, on cover 2, you might want to look for the tight end short here. Or, when the corner comes over the top, look in between the flat. Those kind of things. I haven't seen Van Pelt work with him. I'm interested to see that relationship. Because, again, the blueprint for a successful season, we have said, starts with Gerard Mayo. And I do think it's the defense holding up their end of the bargain. But also Alex Van Pelt. I think he's going to call the right plays with Brissett. Brissett's going to know what to do. The offense is going to look, it's going to look much better than it did a year ago. But is he developing Drake May? And he doesn't have to play Drake May to develop. It's something to keep your eye on. So many people turned down that job. And it landed on Van Pelt. And you see all the time offensive coordinators in this league have good seasons, turn teams around, leave, go to other situations, or become head coaches. And I'm just wondering if he's a part of the long-term plan for Drake May, which is another reason why I don't think he's going to start or play this season. Maybe he'll play. I don't think it's week 4 like Tim Hasselbeck said. But your thoughts on that at 617-779-0985. I see you guys on the YouTube chat as well. I saw this one from Doe Weasel. Another week of saturated football talk about yet again a trash team. The game's on Thursday, bro. Who's going to play? Will Brissett play? Will you even see Drake May? Will they just leave Bailey Zappi out there to be fed to the dogs? Could happen, right? Probably will happen, for that matter. I hope he lights it up, because I'll be rooting for Zappi.
Bump up that trade value.
That's what I mean. And in a way, I do want to see Joe Milton show off that arm a little bit. I do. I also want people to see how bad he sucks. Your thoughts at 617-779-0985. There is a Red Sox game tonight. We should mention the weekend that they had. It's a big series tonight. We'll tell you all about it coming up on the other side. You can continue your Patriots calls as well. Everything is on the table at 617-779-0985. Skaz is here. We got Christina tonight. I'm Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub.
Adolis Garcia pops one up toward first. Dom Smith ranges over, and the Red Sox win the series against the Rangers.
Look, the Sunday Sox, 16-3, 11-1 on turf now. That was a good series win against a team that was struggling. They had to come in here and play some good baseball. Now on to Kansas City, where that is a big series.
All right, back here at 98.5, the Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. Got Skaz here as well. Christina's back there helping us out. Phone number is 617-779-0985. Red Sox and Royals. Who would have thought? Who would have thought these two teams? Who would have thought right now we'd be talking about Red Sox baseball in a time where they're actually in it? They've had a lot of August struggles over the last couple of years, and they've made moves at the trade deadline. And the Rangers set 4.5 games out of first place in the West, and the Red Sox took 2 or 3 out of them. And Kansas City, of course, coming off a sweep of the White Sox, they're 8-4 since the All-Star break. Or actually, let me get that. Let me make sure I get that right. Yeah, they're 7-3 their last 10 games. And their ERA is 3.55. They've outscored opponents by 21 runs. While the Red Sox in their last 10 games, have a 316 batting average. Their ERA is 6.60, but they have outscored opponents by 9 runs. The Red Sox right now are an offensive team. That's exactly what they are, and they will need some help pitching. No doubt about it. But when I look at this Red Sox right now, a big win yesterday. Going up against Nathan Eovaldi, getting that win. And when you look at OPS leaders, I just keep bringing up since the All-Star break because it's a pretty good sample. The Red Sox are number 1 in Major League Baseball in OPS. And Jarren Duran is doing some things right now that haven't been done in years. Right now, he's got 34 doubles, 14 home runs, 13 triples on the year. He's got 24 stolen bases. His OPS is 850. He's done this through 110 games. It's never been done before. Never been done before. This is a huge series. Rafael Devers has been hot of late. Their bullpen is starting to play better. Their new additions, whether it's Jansen or Sims, they've played well. They've made an impact. The Red Sox finished July with a 13-11 mark. And, 4-8, or was it? I'm trying to think. Well, I mentioned 5-5 in their last 10 games, but they have struggled in August over the last couple of years. 30% last year. The year before, August 1st postseason odds were at 28%. It was 38% at the beginning of this week. But last year, Chaim Bloom was proclaiming the Red Sox as underdogs. Remember? Proclaiming them as underdogs. The Red Sox have not had a winning record since 2019. They went 20-16 and 21 and 22, and last year finished 13-15. And they haven't started off well, but they're playing well. They've made the moves now. And they did not get off to a good start. They didn't. And generally that's been the theme, right? 2022, 3-6 first 9 games. And it's happened every year since. August has been a huge problem for the Red Sox, but now they have their pitching in line. James Paxton goes tonight, one of the additions that they had at the deadline. I know he was waived, but this is a guy that they wanted in their rotation. They needed a lefty. He's 8-3 on the season. They can climb up the playoff standings with a win this series. Paxton goes tonight versus Singer. Bayo, then Lugo, and then Crawford goes in Game 3. So all 3 games, 8:10 first pitch. We'll be watching tonight. We'll keep you updated on it all night long. But it doesn't get any easier. Houston, you get the Rangers again. It's a gauntlet. The month of August is a gauntlet this year for the Red Sox, and history shows you they struggle around this time. The year before, the August. Shout out to Saugus in August. That made you laugh, huh, when I did that?
Yeah, it was just, a little Saugus on the mind.
I don't know, yeah. I don't know where that came from. You are you gonna be locked in tonight?
Yeah, I think this is Paxton. I heard Mavs talking about a little bit. Is he just a body? And they got a tough matchup tonight. Singer's legit. He's got an under 3 ERA. I think he's 8-6, so his record might not be the greatest, but he's definitely been one of the better pitchers in the American League this year. So can James Paxton give you a quality start? I know they didn't give up much for him. He was DFA'd by the Dodgers basically, so not expecting a ton out of James Paxton, but tonight's a night where you could really use a quality start.
And the Bobby Witt Jr. stuff, I want to see this type of player.
Stud.
And people are thinking Marcelo Mayer could be potentially what he is. So, a little unfair. But we're going to now watch a team that is drafted well as star players, that's developing in a playoff run that's been outscoring opponents by, 21 runs since the All-Star break. Another thing I wanted to mention just quickly regarding the Red Sox, Alex Cora said that Chris Martin could be back, or at least could be back by Wednesday. Said it would be huge for the club. And he logged a scoreless inning, 14 of his last 15 appearances. So if Martin can pick up where he left off, that bullpen, I'm telling you, it's going to be good. Sims, Martin, Jansen, Rivas, like you name it. They got a nice little back of the bullpen there. So your thoughts on that at 617-779-0985. Let's talk to Sean in Waltham. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
How you doing, bro? Long time.
Good. I was listening to you yesterday when you were talking about how important last night's game was. I agree with you. They needed that one. But I wanted to ask you a question. Like, this team has so many players that, I didn't think would do well. What do you think of Connor Wong? He's batting over 300 as a catcher. And I know there's a long time to go, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on who you thought is the most unexpected player that you would think would have this good of a year. And
well, who's yours?
Let you take it.
Who's yours?
I think Connor Wong. I mean, he's batting 300, 304 as a catcher.
And of course, he came over in the Mookie Betts deal.
Right.
He can play, man, and I think that's why they brought Jansen in. They wanted Wong to develop under a veteran, but Wong's also athletic. He can play different positions if you wanted him to. So I think that's why they brought Jansen in. Jansen also helps the pitching staff. Look what he did with Brian Bale last week.
But did you see this coming? Because I didn't.
I didn't. If I could give you one guy,
I can't believe it. In Abreu,
I was going to say,
Rafaela.
Wilyer Abreu is probably the guy.
Okay.
He's probably the guy that I didn't expect him to hit 275 with 12 home runs. So
and he's a rookie, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, he's bounced around a bit, but yeah. And yesterday, an emotional day for him. Pair of home runs, had the home run.
Yep.
Obviously the loss in his family, but yeah, he's a guy that I think is developing. Do I see a high upside for him? I don't. But is he a stopgap until some of these guys are ready to go? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, Joe. And good talking to you. And have a great day.
You got it, Sean. Nice talking to you, bud. Heavy hitters, Rafael Devers and Bobby Witt, both leading their teams right now and battling it out in a wild card spot. Here we are, August 5th. Is that where we're at today? August 5th. and the Red Sox are in a playoff race and taking on teams that are in the battle. Isn't this what you all wanted? 617-779-0985. There are so many trade talks in the NFL regarding players that aren't at camp. There's one that's driving me insane. And it heated up a little bit today. We'll tell you who that is, and we'll have more. And we're going to talk to Matt Dolloff. He's going to join us in studio at 8 o'clock. We'll do some Patriots camp stuff with him coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. More Joe.
is wondering, like, the longer this goes on, do we jump in and make a call on Brandon Ayuk? Would they listen to our offer? New England certainly, I'm sure, would love to have a guy like Brandon Ayuk. But again, it takes two sides to tango. You got to satisfy the 49ers if you're ever going to make a deal, and the player has to be willing to take the contract from your organization. And even though he doesn't have a no-trade clause in his contract, he has an unofficial no-trade clause, Brandon Ayuk does right now, because if he doesn't want to go to a team, he could say, I'm not taking that contract, and then why is that team going to give up the amount of compensation it would take to go get him if they know that they can't get him under a long-term deal?
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sport, though. Got some numbers for you coming up in a minute here on the Red Sox and James Paxton. But that was Adam Schefter talking about Brandon Ayuk. And here it comes again. Here comes the Brandon Ayuk. Talks that he's going to get traded and teams are interested, et cetera, et cetera. I know the report is the Patriots offered a second-round pick and would have paid over $28 million. Now it's reported more. Now it's reported that the Patriots could still be interested. I'm drawing a line in the sand. If you're going to give up a first or second round pick for a receiver, I don't think Ayuk's the guy for this team. I don't. And I understand he had 1,300 yards and 75 catches and 7 touchdowns and 25 touchdowns over the last, 4 years. It's a lot. He's got 269 receptions, 3,900 yards receiving. He's a big play guy. He is. And he'd be the absolute best player on the Patriots. No doubt about it. But realistically, he has to choose to come to New England. That was the report there that you just heard. He has to choose it. If Ayuk doesn't want to go to a team, he can say, I'm not taking the contract. He has the ability to say no. So why would he want to come to New England? To play with Jacoby Brissett? Is he excited about Drake May? Why would he choose the Patriots? And the other team that was floated out there today who's had a hell of a history with wide receivers is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh. Justin Fields looks like right now he's going to be the guy. No, Russell Wilson's still in the mix. They've drafted guys. They've had to move on from players as well. But would he choose Pittsburgh in their quarterback situation? I think Ayuk is staying with the 49ers. I think Trent Williams doesn't need to come to camp. He'll be ready to go. Both those guys would be great acquisitions. The 49ers are in win-now mode. And move the Brandon Ayuk stuff, I'm not buying it. I love that you're hearing Patriot stuff, and I love that they're in the mix and that they would do these deals. But when a player can choose where he wants to go, why the New England Patriots? Start there. Leave it there at 617-779-0985. We'll ask Matt Dolloff as well from 98.5thesportshub.com. He'll join us in studio. And a lot of stuff going on at Pat's camp, including the quarterback situation. We'll get you the headlines here. And then Matt Dolloff joins us in studio coming up next.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, relatable, reliable, and even relentless at times.
We're doing it live.
This is Boston's home for sports. WBC FM and HD Boston, 98.5, the Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Red Sox and Kansas City Royals just about to get underway. James Paxton gets the start tonight. He has struggled over the last couple of months, but Red Sox could really use a good outing from him today. Also, day 10 of Patriots camp in the books. We got Matt Dolloff here. He's going to tell us all about what happened today. Also, Matthew Judon spoke at practice today. We'll get you all updated. And Harrison Butker becomes the highest paid kicker in the NFL. 4 years, $25 million, 17 of it guaranteed, $6.4 million a year. It is great to be a kicker. Headlines. They are brought to you by Safety Insurance, providing comprehensive coverage for your auto, home, and business. Ask your independent agent about safety. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update is in 30 minutes.
Start your day.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Work through your day.
What's that thing we do at the end of the show?
And end your day.
I'm not giving you an opinion. I don't know.
Right here. 98.5. The Sports Hub.
All right, hour 2 here. 98.5, the Sports Hub. You got Christina, our intern, and Skaz is here as well. I see you guys on YouTube. Joining us in studio right now is Matt Dolloff. He is from 98.5, thesportshub.com, and all of our, of course, camp coverage brought to you by Guardian Caps. Hello, Matt. How are you today, sir?
What's up, Joe? Thanks for having me.
I am doing fantastic. Where do we start? Offense, defense. What side of the ball do you think you want to start with today, Matt?
Well, if you want to go based on today felt like a defense day.
You might have to switch mics here. I don't know.
Oh, is my mic not on?
Let's find out.
Is my mic working?
I don't hear you.
You don't hear me at all? Uh-oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I hear you, though.
Yeah, it's on, but for some reason it doesn't seem to be working.
Am I going over on the air?
No.
No.
Oh, boy.
Maybe,
The light is
swing,
on, though.
Maybe swing that bad boy over.
How's that?
Yeah.
There I am.
Ah, there he is.
I feel like the mic stopped working whenever I walk in here.
It's like a static effect. You know, you ever like touch something and it shocks you?
I have a magnetic field around me, like that movie Powder.
Yes. I remember that. Offense, defense, what are you feeling?
Well, today was a defense day, and it felt like it was weird because it felt like the competitiveness was dialed back a bit, but the physicality was there. You know, it was the first day of live tackling, and we saw the defense dominate against the run, which I wasn't totally surprised by that because I do feel they have the personnel to stop the run. They have a deep group of defensive tackles, and I know they lost Christian Barmore, but I think that impact is going to be felt more in the pass rush than it is against the run. And we saw a lot of runs up the middle that just got stuffed. It was more than half the runs, I believe, were just completely stuffed up the middle.
Do you think that equates to the line? I mean, you mentioned the line, no Barmore, but Godshaw's been one of the best run stuffers in the league. Is it Keon White that was up front? Is it Dietrich Wise? Is it the Daniel Aquale? Are you seeing Mike Purcell out there? Is Armand Watts making an impact?
All those guys you just mentioned. I mean, Keon White's been more of an edge guy, but Armand Watts, Daniel Aquale, Mike Purcell, the guy they just signed. There's another guy whose name is escaping me that they just signed. Jeremiah Farms. Yep. They've had him for a couple years. So all those guys had solid days. Gottschall was in the middle of it, like the whole time, basically, stuffing the run up the middle. I do think that is more of a statement on the defense that they are going to stop the run. And I don't know if that's as much of a statement on the offensive line as if you flip it around. Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, they've had some clean pockets a lot, and when they've run passing drills in 11-on-11. But who are they going up against? You know, they're going up against Keon White, and Matthew Judon wasn't out there for a lot of those padded practices. Christian Barmore's been out for most of camp at this point. You know, I just don't know that the pocket is going to be as clean once they go up against a real opponent. So this is why the context sort of matters with how the team is looking in these team drills. It's sort of hard to tell when it's the Patriots going up against the Patriots. So I think the run defense is going to be good for the Patriots. I wonder how much pressure they're going to be able to get on the quarterback. So I think that's why it's going to be interesting to see how the Patriots' offensive line performs against a real opponent. I'm interested to see how the run game looks as far as they tried a lot of runs up the middle, but they've done a lot of wide zone runs as well. They didn't do a lot of that today. It was mostly runs up the middle.
They're doing that old zone that they tried a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's Alex Van Pelt. That's what they like to do.
And it struggles for the offense, but today it worked for the defense.
Today it was good for the deal. It was mostly runs up the middle today, though. So, they were getting stuffed because the Patriots do still have a deep group of, nose tackle types. And Godshaw's been out there ever since he, signed his extension. He's been very active. He's been in the middle of all that. And so I do feel good about the run defense the way it was going today. But I do want to see how the offensive line looks against an opponent that is not the Patriots.
Sticking with the defense, I still have some questions regarding the defensive line. At times, I wonder if I'm actually curious what type of defense they're going to run. Is it going to be similar to what they've done before? Obviously, Steve Belichick was calling the defense. Covington will be calling the defenses now, unless Mayo is somehow involved. But when I look at their down linemen, do they go 3 down and like a Judon on the edge or Uche on the other side? Is it? And I guess I should bring up Keon White. I know that he's physical and one-on-ones and showed some promise last year, but is that a guy now that you think is locked in at starting at right or left defensive end?
He's been at defensive end most of the time. They're not lining him up on the interior. They want him coming off the edge, and he's done a great job at that. He's having a great camp. And today he actually lined up at fullback for a few snaps.
Yeah.
They finally did some goal line work. I believe I don't know if they targeted him. I didn't see the first part of this play, but the ball tipped off his hands for whatever reason, and it ended up in the hands of Juwan Bentley for an interception at the goal line. You know, it was like Super Bowl 49 all over again, sort of. But yeah, no, Keon White's having a good camp, and I think he does have a chance to be an impact player coming off the edge on the defense, and especially if Barmore's going to be out the whole season, Joe, and if Judon's going to be disgruntled, that he's if you're not going to get the most out of him, or if he's even going to be here. They're going to depend a lot on Keon White, and I think they are going to get a lot out of him because he's a great athlete. He's committed. He loves football and all that. And so he's been pretty consistent this summer, but he's going to be coming off the edge. And defensively, I don't think it's going to be wildly different with DeMarcus Covington and Gerard Mayo at head coach because those guys learned most of what they know as coaches from Bill Belichick. So I don't know that it's going to be a clone of what we saw with Bill Belichick. I think you are going to see a lot of 3-down linemen. There's going to be a lot of big defensive tackles up front and a lot of 4 linebacker sets, but I do think it's going to be pretty similar, maybe a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they can adapt to the modern NFL, the modern edge rushing NFL, and be a little more aggressive, maybe a little more one-gapping type of stuff, but I think it's going to be pretty similar to what you saw under Bill Belichick overall.
Yeah, I'm interested to see when Sione Takitaki comes back. He's been a guy that can get in the backfield. I wonder if he'd complement Jelani Tavai at all. On another side, did a pretty good job with Cleveland as well. Matt Dolloff's joining us here in studio. You can call in if you'd like, 617-779-0985. Hot take, I have not been impressed with Christian Gonzalez so far. And I'm tempering my expectations because he's coming off a knee injury. Mm-hmm. And I get it. Guys who have this type of injury, it's always the next year where they're fully healthy. I've seen him get beat deep inside, anything really speed-wise. So is that what it is? Is he coming back from the knee injury? Is it a different scheme? Is it high expectations? And now, last year he was a rookie, and when it happened last year, we're like, I'll learn it. I know people are just slotting him in to be this lockdown outside corner. People thought that with Devin McCourty, too, in his second year. So I have some concerns about Christian Gonzalez in his second year. What are you seeing?
Well, he definitely isn't locking it down by any means. But I think he had a slower start to camp. He's been better lately. Today he did give up a touchdown to Tyquan Thornton in 7-on-7. Or no, it might have been 1-on-1. I forget if it was 7-on-7 or 1-on-1. But he was a little bit off. It wasn't man coverage he was playing on that play. So, it was a quick slant to Tyquan Thornton. It was a good play call by the Patriots offense on that one play. So I'm not sure how much of that I would put on Christian Gonzalez, but especially early in camp, first 3-4 days, they were testing him a lot over the middle of the field. And so I wonder if they were just trying him out there because I think at the end of the day he's going to play outside most of the time. And I think there have been fewer plays made on him lately. But over the middle, yeah, he was getting beat at the top of the route by guys like Javon Baker beat him with a really good play to get separation at the top of the route over the middle of the field. He beat him by about 5 yards for a catch.
I saw him get completely beat last week. And I know I said it's a knee injury. I know he's coming off the shoulder. So I don't know. To me it looks like he's coming back from like a lower body thing. I know
you had me in a distortion field for a second. I was like, yeah, knee injury.
I know it's his shoulder.
Yeah, it was a shoulder. Yeah.
I know that. But he doesn't look as fast to me. I don't know.
Well, my hope is that he's going up against better receivers. Maybe the rookie receivers are for real. I think Jalen Polk is going to be a good receiver. We'll see about Baker. Baker hasn't been the most consistent guy at camp, but he's one of those guys that beat Christian Gonzalez over the middle. So yeah, Gonzalez is a guy that I hope we see a decent amount of in the preseason, and he's locked in as a starter. He's still clearly the number one quarterback on the team or cornerback on the team. And, the depth chart after him is where all the questions are at cornerback. Who's going to play opposite him? Who's going to play in the slot? All that. Jonathan Jones is obviously here, but he can play all over the formation. So I wonder how the depth chart is going to fill out after Christian Gonzalez. But, yeah, no, there's a lot riding on him on the defense. If they want to win games on defense, they're going to need him to sort of look the way he did early in his rookie year. And so it hasn't been as crisp as it was, early in his rookie year last year. So he's got some things to figure out there. I don't know if he's lost any explosion or anything like that. He's still very young. Maybe he's just sort of slow to ramp up because he missed all that time last year. That's got to be the hope, because he's going to have to be a lockdown player for this team, especially if they want to win games on defense, especially after losing Barmore up front. Christian Gonzalez might have to be their best player.
Might have to be. I know you run at 98.5, thesportshub.com. I only know a few of these guys, but O'Shane Zaminis, I believe I'm saying it right. I know he played for the Giants before. Zimenez, okay. Defensive end, you wrote about him. And then Del Pettis is a safety, along with A.J. Thomas. And then there's another guy named Mikey Victor. Who are these guys?
Well, Pettis is a guy who's popped the last few days, especially when the pads went on, because he's a physical guy. He's been playing a lot of safety. You got to look at the starters recently, so he's starting to sort of make noise out there on the field. I know they're still pretty deep at safety, so Pettis might have some work to do as far as carving out a real role on this team. But he's starting to make plays out there. And Mikey Victor and the other guy that they just signed, his name escapes me. I'm sorry. He's on the list. AJ something.
AJ
Thomas. Yeah, it's a very simple name. That's why I forgot his name. I'm sorry to A.J. Thomas. But, yeah, no, they made pass breakups today. A.J. Thomas made an interception today. It was sort of off a deflection, so I don't know if those guys are really going to, pop as much as Pettis has. Pettis is out of those guys is the guy that I would say has the best chance of actually making the team the way he's been playing lately, and that's a guy I'm intrigued to see play in the preseason. He's probably going to get a lot of playing time because he's still a reserve safety on the team. The secondary is something to watch as a group, Joe, because, other than Jabril Peppers and Jonathan Jones, there's not a ton of experience there. There's not a ton of experience playing together. I know Kyle Duggar's been in the league 5 years now, so it's not that they completely lack experience, but these guys lack experience playing together. And there was a moment last week where the secondary had a miscommunication, and the whole defense had to run a lap around the field because of that miscommunication. They didn't even get the playoff. They didn't have the right substitutions. They didn't line up right. So Jonathan Jones talked about it after practice. They just got to hold us accountable. We got to communicate better and all that. I feel like they've responded lately. Jerome Mayo basically issued a challenge to the defense to sort of compete harder, and I think guys like Pettis took that to heart. And so we've seen better play out of the secondary as a whole. And, they got to learn how, they got to figure out how to communicate with each other, because that was sort of a hallmark of those late Belichick secondaries, all that experience and all that talent, and they all meshed together, and they all, knew how to communicate and knew how to mix up their coverages and always have that down. And so they haven't really had that down totally in this camp. So that's sneaky something to watch, because I know the offense is the big story, obviously, for this team. But if we have any hope of winning a lot of games, they're probably going to need that defense, and the secondary is something to watch as far as how they're communicating.
A guy in our chat named Pat Stats. Gonzo locked down 3 of the best wide receivers in the NFL until he got hurt last year. Let's not go that route with hot takes. I'm not hot taking. You said it. You're there. I was there. He's gotten beat. That's not a hot take. It's just what happened.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's I wouldn't call it a hot take. I don't even remember exactly. Well, you said hot take, and then you delivered the take.
My take is I'm concerned about him in the second year.
Yeah, no, I think the McCourty comparison is a pretty apt one. I don't know that Christian Gonzalez is ever going to convert to safety like Devin McCourty did. I think Christian Gonzalez can play outside corner. I think he has a similar. He got compared to Stephon Gilmore earlier in camp. I think the comparisons to Stephon Gilmore are apt in terms of just his play style. I don't know that he's going to produce at the level that Stephon Gilmore did for the Patriots. I don't know that he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year or anything like that. But it's a similar play style. He should be able to figure out how to mirror the routes of opposing receivers and just stay locked on to them in coverage. And that we just haven't seen as much of that. He's just been beat a few times. That's all. He's just not having a totally perfect camp. That's all we're saying.
I just think if the defense is going to be so great, They need him to be one of their best players. That's all I'm saying. We'll get into the offense in a minute here. Cam's in the car. Hey, Cam.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
How you doing?
This is Cam, who called you last Friday on 3 different phones, by the way.
Do you
remember that?
You're admitting it.
I am admitting it. But hey, Joe, I'll tell you what. I did it out of love because me and my buddies, we all love your show. We had 3 different phones, and they didn't want to talk, so I was the one that stepped up to the plate and did that. But we did it out of love, though, because we listen to your show like
What's
all
your
the time.
take? What do you got for a take?
Our take is Brandon Ayuk. If we get him, what the package got to be a sign and trade with Judon, and if we do get him, what do you think that puts us for wins? I think it's only going to up us by like maybe 1 or 2 games this year. I'm thinking maybe no more than 6 games or 7 games we're winning.
Well, you must have missed the 750 segment there, Cam.
Oh, shame. Missed the 750.
Did a whole take on this. Literally, the whole 750 segment.
It was all Ayuk.
All Ayuk.
Just check it in. Check.
This guy called on 3 different phones last week.
He calls you up like, why aren't you talking about
with
this?
different names on 3 different phones?
Joe, while we're at it, why are you not talking about Christian Gonzalez?
Selective hearing, I guess, is what we call it here. Let's get into the offense. Quarterback talk. Everyone's talking about it. Let's get into the offense. We'll do all that. Matt Dolloff's here. He is from 98.5thesportshub.com. More of your calls coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray.
Dig.
All right, back here at 98.5, the Sports Hub. Matt Dolloff's here in studio tonight for 98.5, thesportshub.com. Of course, our camp coverage brought to you by Guardian Caps. All right, let's start quarterbacks. I just was mentioning this to you off the air, but the Patriots have always set the expectation that Jacoby Brissett was here to be a placeholder, to get the offense back with Alex Van Pelt, and Drake May will develop under him. So I don't think there's ever been a QB competition. Do I think they're competing with each other? Yes. But I've always thought it was Jacoby Brissett that was going to be the starter week one. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I still think there's just some things May needs to still develop. I don't think he has to play to develop those things. I heard Tim Hasselbeck today say, yeah, week 4, ready to go, get some reps. I like everything that Jacoby Brissett's been doing. I think he's almost the perfect guy to come in here. But I know it helps Van Pelt. I'm just not sure if you've seen anything where Alex Van Pelt helps Drake May.
Yeah, I've been wondering about. I was listening to you talk about that earlier. Now, when you say you wonder if Alex Van Pelt is the right guy for Drake May, are you saying that you don't know if he's prioritizing developing Drake May? You think he's just prioritizing Brissett?
Yes, because if the offense looks good, Van Pelt looks good.
Right.
And then what happens with offensive coordinators when they play well, when they do well? They either get better jobs or become head coaches.
Right.
So if Brissett isn't a part of the mix for the future and Drake May's next, is Van Pelt the right guy? They like to run that play action and with the tight ends and do the running game, and it's like what the Browns looked like over the last couple of years. I don't know if Drake May's fit for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm wondering if when Brissett's done, is Van Pelt going to start catering towards his offense or to Drake May's strengths? I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about catering to Drake May's strength. My concern with Van Pelt is that he's going to be one of these guys that's just going to go out and try to do what he does. And so a smart defensive coach is going to go over the film and game plan specifically for that offense and just sort of know how to slow them down. And they're not going to have the kind of adjustments that we were used to seeing in, past eras with Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady, and the way they would game plan on a week-to-week basis. I'm just not sure we're going to see as much of that with the Van Pelt system. But yeah, Van Pelt is definitely prioritizing Brissett because of that familiarity, and Brissett knows the system already from Cleveland, and he already looks ready to run the offense. Brissett has sort of changed the conversation, Joe, because he's having a good camp. I don't think we were expecting him to have as good of a camp as he's had. I thought we were expecting maybe it to be a little bit closer between who's playing better between Brissett and May, and I thought we might see a competition in the sense that both guys are getting reps with the starting offensive line and the starting receivers. We haven't seen any of that. Brissett has been getting exclusively reps with the ones, and Drake May has been exclusively with the twos, and I think that alone is a sign how far away Drake May really is. And so I think Brissett has made a lot of plays, and he's also handled the line of scrimmage stuff and the huddle stuff a lot better than Drake May. And that's not surprising at all to anyone who knows what it's like for a rookie who has little experience running an NFL offense to learn how to run an NFL offense. I thought we saw, even back in OTAs and minicamp, that on one side of the field, it's Jacoby Brissett and even Bailey Zappi behind him getting ready with the offense. This is the offense that we're going to run. And on the other side, it's Drake May doing NFL offense 101. This is how you huddle. This is how you call a play at the line of scrimmage. This is how you read a defense. And so I think Drake May has made progress in those areas, but I think, behind the scenes, maybe they were hoping Drake May would pick stuff up a little quicker than he has. I think he has sort of picked stuff up. There's been little good signs of him being able to read stuff pre-snap and read the defense and things like that. But honestly, what I've seen from Drake May lately is that he plays better in 7-on-7 than he does in 11-on-11. He does the more you throw at him, the worse it gets for him. I think with the pressure in his face, he had a couple of stunts right in his face. He's had a couple of plays where he threw the ball away, and from my point of view, it was borderline intentional grounding on a couple of plays in 11-on-11. So I think he's getting sped up by the rush, and the huddle problems have they haven't been as bad lately as they were earlier in camp. So, there's little baby steps of progress that we've seen from Drake May, but I just don't think he's ready to run an NFL offense the way that Jacoby Brissett is, and that's why we're going to see Jacoby Brissett be the starter early on. But to your point about Van Pelt quickly, he better be prioritizing getting Drake May ready, because I think Drake May is going to be the guy eventually. Like, he needs Drake May to produce as well, for him to look good. He's going to look good if Brissett looks good, but Drake May is going to be in there eventually. So he's going to have at least some of the blame put on him if Drake May doesn't look ready when he actually plays.
So I know you were on with Beetle earlier today.
You saw that?
I saw it. Do you think that the offense can be functional with Drake May?
If he plays week 1?
Just preseason.
Preseason, yeah. Yeah, I think it could be functional. Like, if he's playing with backups against backups, like, it could look good. He's made a lot of plays down the field with his arm. He's made a lot of throws over the middle. He's connected with especially the rookie receivers, I think, and he has a good connection with Mitchell Wilcox, who I think is in the lead to be the third tight end on the roster. He's probably going to make the team at this point.
He's played in the league. I mean, he's with the Bengals, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's been playing well. He's had a good camp. And so, like, he does look like he's building a rapport, especially with the rookie receivers and guys like Wilcox, and he's worked a lot with JaMychal Hasty at running back. And so they have experience playing together. And so, like, I'm interested to see how it looks in a game. But, like, if the team, I don't think we're going to see a lot thrown at him in the preseason, because there's not a lot of specific game planning going on. And especially this week, the Carolina Panthers might be one of the only teams in the league that are worse than the Patriots, at least on paper. And so I think it could look functional with Drake May. I don't think it's going to be a complete disaster. I just think it's going to be a little up and down. There's going to be, little procedural things. There's going to be plays where he didn't set the right protections. There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be perfect right out of the gate. Drake May wasn't one of these perfect, ready-made prospects that you have to start from day one. He's a guy that had to be developed. And I know people might say, like, well, then why are you drafting that guy third overall? That's the era of football that we're in, Joe. You got a guy with freakish physical talent who has the potential to be a star with that physical talent, a la Josh Allen, who is a raw prospect himself coming out of the draft. You have to draft those guys high. And so I think the Patriots were just in that position to draft Drake May, and I think at the same time, he just needs time to develop. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard for us to be patient, especially in this market when we're overanalyzing every single play, every single practice, but it's going to take time with Drake May. I think it can look functional with him, but there are going to be little things that we can nitpick and pick apart, especially once we see him in a game.
I'm not going to ask you about Joe Milton or Bailey Zappi. I'm not.
Did you learn your lesson from last year? You're trying to get the competition going.
I think I won. I was right. The gap wasn't big.
Oh, between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi? Yeah, I'll give you a W on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I also said that trading Pierre Strong for Tyrone Wheatley Jr. was a bad move.
Yeah, I don't think is Wheatley even here anymore.
He got cut.
Yeah, okay.
Like 3 days ago. All right, so when I look at if we're talking like week 1, not so much preseason stuff, because I know the preseason's not Thursday. I think the most productive players on the team as of right now are going to be KJ Osborne and Hunter Henry offensively. And I think Ramondre Stevenson will be perfect for this zone that you were talking about, zone blocking. And I think Gibson might be able to maybe they'll play both at the same time out of the backfield. I don't know. With the way that Van Pelt runs, I loved what Cleveland did. And I think Austin Hooper may get some action as well. But if it was me right now, if I was going to put my money on who the go-to guys outside of Pop Douglas, because he's going to probably be a featured guy that gets double-teamed at times, or they're going to game plan for him. I mean, KJ Osborne and Hunter Henry are going to be the guys. Is there anyone else I'm missing here?
Well, Hunter Henry definitely in the red zone. He's going to be probably their top red zone target. He's made a lot of plays in the red zone lately. He had a couple touchdowns earlier this week in the red zone. So he's going to be a red zone target for Brissett. Osborne has really come on strong lately. I feel like we shouldn't be surprised in retrospect, because it's a veteran guy. It's not the hardest system to pick up for a veteran, so I feel like he's sort of picked it up and he's sort of hit the ground running there. They've lined him up inside, outside, and he's made plays deep down the field. He's made plays in the red zone as well. And so, yeah, I think that's a safe bet that those guys are going to be productive. I think Jalen Polk could be surprisingly productive, because we're not used to seeing rookie receivers produce much in New England, but I think they're sort of preparing him to be a starter. And who are we forgetting? Oh, Austin Hooper is another guy He's a guy that sort of has a rapport with Brissett, and they were never teammates in Cleveland, but they both have experience with that Van Pelt system in Cleveland. So it feels like they both picked up the system rather quickly because they already had that familiarity, and they're sort of building a connection together. I feel like we could see a lot of, sort of two tight end stuff. I think we could see a lot of, games where Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper are both making plays. And so those are definitely going to be guys to watch. And, Javon Baker's a guy that's been sort of up and down in camp. He could be the guy that, pops for a big play every now and then, pops for a big game every few weeks, something like that. But as far as consistency is concerned, I think you're consistently going to see Hunter Henry getting open and making plays in the red zone, especially. And I think KJ Osborne is a guy that's, sort of been versatile, and he's making different plays all over the different parts of the field every day, and he's getting better every day. And so, yeah, I think those are the guys that you're going to be able to, lean on a consistent basis.
All right, one more question for you. Not football related.
Wow.
We're
going food?
What's going on with Jeremy Swayman?
Oh, man, you're asking the wrong guy. That's a question for one Tyler Lee Anderson.
Nope. You're just as qualified.
Well, I think we're just in a quiet time for everything across the league. I don't think there's too much business being done in anywhere across the league right now. I think maybe this month it'll start to pick back up. But yeah, no, I think Swayman, I think a deal gets done. I think it could get done in camp. It could get done in September. I just think, they're apart, but they're just going to slowly inch toward each other. My read on is that Swayman's agent is just sort of playing hardball. He's trying to get the most out of this deal. Swayman doesn't strike me as a guy that's, going to sort of hold a hard line and say, no, I demand this number. I think that's more his camp sort of making that happen, but I think the two sides eventually come to an agreement, and I think Swayman will be happy. He'll be here long term, and hopefully they can figure out a way to build around him because he's going to be expensive for a goalie.
He's been very patient.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, he's been very, very patient, but maybe they promised him something or need to make a move. I don't know what it is, but somebody in the chat asked me to ask you that.
Well, look, the Bruins I don't understand their over-reliance on goalies in all aspects between not overpaying, but paying a lot of money for the starter, paying a lot of money for the backup, Corpusel, drafting guys, developing guys, and then refusing to play them.
And having them ready, like in Providence. And Bussy's ready, right?
Yeah, and leaning on goalie Bob.
DPH is probably ready, too.
Every aspect of the Bruins goaltending system is just consistently excellent, but do you need everything to be excellent at that position? I think it's a little frustrating, especially with the way that they've sort of taken a step back at center, and they've spent almost a decade building this defense from the ground up. So it's been a little frustrating to see the over-reliance on goaltending, but I think Swayman just sort of played them into this corner. I don't think we saw this coming over a year ago when we didn't see it coming that Swayman would go on this unbelievable playoff run and then sort of force the Bruins to have to make a decision on whether to pay him or I guess move on. But I think they're going to pay him just because they have shown that they love to pay goalies and they love to have strong goaltending in every facet of the organization. So I think the Swayman deal gets done, and it's going to be a big one for him.
It does drive me nuts that most of the money allocated to the team is defense and goalies. It drives me crazy. But you know what? It gets them to the playoffs every year.
Yeah. At the same time, they just haven't had the guys to pay at center, especially.
Yeah.
And other than Pasternak, they haven't had a wing that they could pay that kind of money. So I wonder if that's sort of how it goes. But
Jake DeBrusk, but I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
That was a joke. He got paid.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he got that kind of money out on the market. All right, so do we see Drake May Thursday?
Yeah, I think we see at least a little bit of him on Thursday. I hope we see a good amount of him. I want to see him in a real game. I want to see how it goes. And I think he's a guy that's going to play eventually in his rookie year. I think Jacoby Brissett could surprise people with the camp he's having, and they could maybe look, that's a good story. That's not a bad thing that Jacoby Brissett is playing well and they're going to be able to play him.
I agree.
I think you can only hurt Drake May by playing him too soon. You can't possibly hurt Drake May's development by sitting him, and I think you can give him as much time as he needs to get ready. I don't think he's quite ready just yet, and so it's a good thing that Jacoby Brissett is playing well in the meantime, but I hope they get Drake May some game action while they can in the summer. So and this is a good time to do it because it's not going to be a significant game plan. He's going to be going up against backups himself. It's probably not going to be the biggest challenge for him, but get him in there against a real pass rush, an opponent that's not his own team, and just see how it goes. And hopefully everyone stays healthy and we can look toward week 7, week 8 when he finally goes in there.
And on Brandon Ayuk, not to be rude to the Cam who called 3 times, now 4 times. I don't think they're in the mix because he has control of where he wants to go, and I don't think it's here.
Yeah, no. If it comes down to him choosing where he goes, it's not going to be here, and they'd probably have to overpay. And look, I'm okay with paying him. It's just money, and they can figure out the cap.
I like the player. I just feel like if you're going to give up a first or that type of second-round pick, Barth mentioned wait a year for like a DK Metcalf or somebody like that.
First-round pick for Ayuk.
Out! Oh, I'm out. But you know what I would do, though? Unfortunately, you would probably have to swap picks. You would have to give them the first. You take theirs. And it doesn't help them. And quite frankly, it really is a future move for the Patriots.
Yeah, look, he'd be a good fit here because other than Javon Baker, they don't have a clear big X outside receiver. Everyone else that's going to make the team, Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, those guys, they can line up different parts of the field. And they can line up mainly in the slot or at the Z spots. They don't have a clear X receiver. But I think they're hoping they can develop Baker into that guy. And, if they'd give up the second, they tried to give up the second according to, reports and rumors for Ayuk. But I think that I balk at giving them a first for sure.
Matt Dolloff out on giving up a first. I don't think anybody's out on Ayuk. I think there's just the whole first, second round pick. If it's a second in money, whatever, I just feel like you wouldn't have had to give up the picks if you had just signed Ridley or some other wide receiver. But whatever. That's a story for another day. He's Matt Dolloff. He's from 98.5thesportshub.com. Check out all his work. He's got a bunch of camp names and names that you're going to see on Thursday night when they play their first preseason game. Matt, appreciate your time tonight. Go home. You've had a long day.
Yes, I'm going home. Thanks for having me on, Joe.
Go what are you going to eat?
What am I going to eat?
You going to get takeout on the way home or what?
No. I'll probably make like a nice piece of chicken and have a nice salad. I'm trying to eat healthier these days.
Out.
You're out. I know you're out on salad. I like a bowl of lettuce and tomato. I'm simple like that.
All right. Well, he's going home. Matt Dolloff's going to eat. I get your headlines, and we'll do more coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right,
Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Everyone's gunning for Boston. I think that's just what it is. At the end of the day, everyone's chasing Boston. Like, whether it's like we could have like went and signed, I don't know, Jokic, Bron, KD. Like, you're still chasing Boston. They're the champs. Like.
All right, back here 98.5 The Sports Hub. We have In or Out coming up in just a few minutes. Skaz is here, Christina. Hi, Christina. She's answering all your calls tonight. Thanks to Matt Dolloff, 98.5 thesportshub.com. That was Jalen Brunson. And who's the other guy there? Why am I losing my mind?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. Nova guys.
The Nova guys.
Who's still... Oh, and by the way, this is your daily reminder that the Celtics are NBA champions. Your daily reminder that the Celtics won the championship. And that the rest of the league, even the New York Knicks, with all those Nova players, still feel like Boston is the best team and they're chasing Boston, which is true. Which is very true. And later on tonight, we'll give you some Olympic takes. I know that Draymond Green had one, which I thought was interesting regarding Steve Kerr. And then Brian Windhorst, Windy, making comparisons to the 92 Olympic team. Oh, boy. Out. That's not even part of In or Out, which is coming up next. But just again, daily reminder. The Boston Celtics were your NBA champions. And the entire league still thinks they're the best team. Because they are. So, just another daily reminder. We'll have more basketball stuff. We got football on the table. The Red Sox are winning 2-0 right now in Kansas City in a really big matchup. Big series here. As well. So, phone number here, 617-779-0985. I see guys in the chat as well. 57 people watching right now. Let's get that number up because you know what's coming up next. In or Out here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
Don't go... 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Are you in or out? Gotta know without a doubt. I'm the one you need for a dirty deed. I'm the best. Success is guaranteed. Because of getting away with some things.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I don't really know what, the viewpoint is of this. Is it a documentary style? Is it like a revisiting of the events that happened? I'm really not sure. So yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know how much new information we're really gonna get.
Listen, the Aaron Hernandez thing is a delicate story. There was a serial killer playing in the NFL. That's the truth. And also had a ton of mental health issues. And played football. Played at Florida under Urban Meyer. Played for Bill Belichick. There's a lot of meat on that bone. So I think people will watch it. But I don't think anyone's proud of that. You know what I mean? To do another Aaron Hernandez story, it's just now this one will be a portrayal.
Yeah, we're getting real actors,
which we've never got before.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in, but it's still a delicate situation. And again, I played in a football league that Odin Lloyd was in, and was beloved. So I'm sure it'll be hard to watch for some people. But I'm in on it because it's a live portrayal.
All right, Joe, switching gears here. CBS has ordered a new pilot. It is called DMV. The series description is DMV is set at the place everyone dreads going most, the DMV. Our quirky and lovable characters are making minimum wage, doing a thankless job where customers are annoyed before they even walk in the door. Good thing the cast has each other. Joe Murray, are you in or out on a DMV TV show?
And I lived that life. I was, you're talking about the registry of motor vehicles.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I lived that life. I was, I used to be like a courier. We would go to the Worcester RMV, and I worked at a car dealership, so we would have 30 registrations and plates and things like that. So let me just tell you, the people who work there have to be the way they are because of the clientele.
Everyone's pissed.
And here's the deal. You've heard those commercials, right? When you live in the state of Massachusetts, you need a stamp. But you know what? Everyone's going to be like, yep, been there. Yep, done that. This is why when you go to a car dealer, this is a recommendation. Pay for the courier service. Pay for it. They do it all for you. And a lot of these dealerships are on the drive program anyways. So they just make a call, get a stamp, bing, bang, boom. So there's your recommendation for the day. Courier service. And I got a buddy who owns one. So DM me if you ever need one. I know a guy.
Always knows a guy.
But dude, the DMV sucks.
Not the happiest place on earth right there.
But I've had good experiences before.
Yeah. I mean, one of the good things about working nights, go middle of the day during the week, not too bad at the DMV. Yeah.
But there's nothing worse when you screw up the form, or now you need to go get another title, or I live that life, I am out. But and that's another thing. I only want it to be out there so people know what it's like. There are things that happen. Sometimes you can't get a stamp if you don't have the signature. What if the VIN number's wrong? What if the mileage was wrong? What if the date was wrong? What if you signed it in the wrong spot? It's a disaster. Out. In, but out.
50-50 in.
50-50 in.
All right, Joe, we'll head to one you put in Slack earlier today, and that was a new Oreo. Joe, we have the chocolate peanut butter pie Oreos. Are you in or out?
I don't know if I want any kind of nuts on my Oreos. Christina's shaking her head. That's not what I meant. I'm talking peanut.
She says she thinks she's tried them and they're pretty good.
Oh, you have?
She's looking up the packaging now to confirm.
So it's chocolate with peanut butter.
Peanut butter pie is what it says, so yes.
I mean, I'll try anything. Except for salad. I've tried salad before. I think I'm out on this one. How do you screw up an Oreo? It's 2 pieces of chocolate cookie with cream. If you want the cream to be orange, green, purple, whatever, I don't care. If you want to double stuff it, stuff it. If you want to double cookie it, if you want to put a 3rd layer in. But why do we have to screw it up? It's an Oreo cookie. It is what it is. I don't need peanut butter. I don't need fudge. I don't need marshmallow. I don't need whipped cream. I don't need Mike and Ike's or Snickers or Butterfingers or Kit Kats. It's an Oreo. Why screw it up? You get the Oreo, you put it in milk, you eat it. Here's the other thing. A deep fried Oreo, don't knock it until you try it. It's still an Oreo. It's just deep fried.
It is fair season, Joe.
I don't need a butternut squash or whatever it was. What was it again? Peanut butter pie?
Yes.
Oreo cookie. Deep fried. I don't. So I'll try it, but I'm out.
All
and
right.
of course, that's the thing that got me going today.
Of course.
9:05, and I'm animated about an Oreo cookie.
Put that on a T-shirt. All right, Joe, we'll head to the world of wearable technology for this one. Tech brand EcoFlow has released a wearable solar panel sun hat, which uses the power of the sun to charge your favorite devices. It is basically what looks like a large black sun hat, but the brim all around the hat is solar panels, and you can plug your charger into the back of the hat to charge your phone. Chapter 4. Joe Murray, are you in or out on a John Wick TV show?
It's Keanu Reeves. We'll do something. I don't know what it is. We'll do something. Coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, the only place to hear the local call of the game is right WBC-FM and HD Boston. Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
All right, Red Sox lead 2-1 right now. Ooh. 2-1. Red Sox. Bottom of the 4th inning, they have the lead. Patriots at day 10 of Patriots training camp. All the quarterbacks are in action. They're getting ready for Thursday night's game versus the Carolina Panthers. They have also placed Jake Andrews on injured reserve, and as we just mentioned, Harrison Butker. 4 years, $25 million, 17 guaranteed. Out. Headlines are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame. With Awaken 180, how many birdies can you uncover? Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Joe Murray.
Boston, the greatest sports town in America.
We have a farm. I have about 200 pigs here.
We got to spill beers on each other without worrying about spilling beers on people.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sport, though. We're going to talk to Mike Fiddle coming up in a little bit. He actually reached out to me and said, hey, Joe, how many games do you think Drake May is going to play? And I said, I don't know. How about we have you on tonight and we talk about it? So that's how organic these things happen. That's how organic it is. He asked me, I asked him. We talk about it on the radio. On the radio. Did Mayo weather his first storm perfectly? And what I mean by first storm, the Matthew Judon situation. Guys, I hate to throw you on the spot here, but is there any? Can you give me the Judon from today? Listen, I don't know why the Patriots made Matthew Judon available to speak, but did it do any favors for anybody? And here's the other flip side of it: does Jerod Mayo look good for the way he handled things? I don't know. Reading from Benton Volan of the Boston Globe, Jerod Mayo weathered his first storm as Patriots head coach impressively. Well, he talked today. Did he handle it really? Did Jerod Mayo really handle things? Let's hear from Matthew Judon today.
We wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't ask you what happened last Wednesday and last Monday from your perspective.
We had a conversation. I didn't want to be a distraction to the team, so I went inside. I wasn't participating in those drills that day, so I went inside and then I got a message, so I came back and talked to our GMs. Then I went back inside. Sorry, I'm animated. I talk with my hands, where that's, I'm going to start talking like this and not be so animated.
Okay. Did he mention his how much money he makes at all? Is there a clip about it? Let's he might have mentioned his salary. Let's hear that audio.
No, we have a market. It's set by the highest guy. Then everybody falls in line until the next person is up to break that contract. Coming from the season I had, I was injured mostly all season, so that's not really where my market is. Excuse me, but that's not really where my marketing is. But like I said, I don't think it's 6.5.
So, getting back to the article, Jerod Mayo weathered his first storm as Patriots head coach impressively. So you mean to tell me that you're impressed by Matthew Judon coming back, saying he needs more money, and then talked about it? Was that impressive to you, Skaz?
No, but can I just give you another thing that stood out to me in that first answer, and I want to see if you pick up on this as well?
Let's hear it.
And then I got a message, so I came back and talked to our GMs.
The GM, our GMs.
Yeah, who are their GMs? Who is he having these conversations with?
Would it be Elliott Wolf and Macro?
Well, that's what I'm curious about. He says our GM, and then he corrects himself and says our GMs.
Or Robin Glazer and Jonathan Kraft.
That's just kind of what I mean, though, is we don't know. And does Matthew Judon know? Do the players know? Like, who are these conversations taking place with?
So to your point, the article claims Jerod Mayo weathered the first storm.
I don't think he's the GM, Joe.
Me either. I hate. Why do I always get on Ben Volan? What is it?
Oh, you don't think Joe Milton's better than Drake May?
I don't. And by the way, he said, since I made the comment, Drake May looks better. But I stand by my take. You're wrong. Just like this isn't impressive. I don't know what it is. What is it with him? I never was like, this guy's been writing this stuff for years, even when they were good. Is it a reach? There's an article to write every day. That's what it is.
Got to hit the quota.
There's an article to write. Did Jerod Mayo even handle this thing? He left and came back and yelled at two guys.
If he handled it, it doesn't take place in the first place.
Wow. Wow. Imagine. Oh, Skaz, making too much sense all the time.
Okay. Sometimes it's simple.
We'll talk to Mike Fiddle. We'll do that coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe. You're listening to Joe Murray.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. I'm Joe Murray. We're here tonight till 11 o'clock. We had Matt Dolloff in earlier tonight. Do a little betting talk with our guy Mike Fiddle. You can check him out. He does some work with Action Network. Also has his own podcast, The Advantage Podcast. I know you love your zodiac signs. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, I did a podcast today covering the NBA as it relates to astrology and zodiac symbols. So which teams make good pairings, good energies, good acquisitions. So we were evaluating the offseason through the stars and the lunar cycles. It was interesting.
Okay, well, since you brought it up, where do the Celtics show up on that?
The Celtics have a lot of water sign type players. I'm not the astrology expert. I brought an astrology expert onto my show because I do love it and I'm fascinated by that stuff. But I do know the Celtics are very synchronistic and have good synergies between both their coaching staff and their players, between their star players and their role players. They're a textbook team, and we discussed at length Drew Holiday in the fact that his sign and his moon are very mutable, is the term that the astrologists use.
Wow.
Which means that you're very adaptable to your environment. So we're seeing get traded to the Celtics, win a ring, and then get sent to Paris to compete in the Olympics and be an integral part of Team USA. Not surprising, given when he was born and where the moon was at that time.
I've never heard that. I'm interested now. I'm very interested. Since we're on a basketball conversation, we've been talking about Steve Kerr a lot lately. I think he's overrated. I didn't like the way he handled things with Jason Tatum. Go figure, Tatum plays consecutive games and starts and has a double-double. His own player, I guess, Draymond Green had some comments today, but I don't know what it is, but I can't stand the guy, and I saw you comment about him. Do you think he affects a betting line or makes any impact in an NBA game?
No. In an NBA game, no. I think he's regarded as one of the top coaches, but Golden State runs a very system-based offense, which means even in times when he might take time away from the game, and we've even seen that with Steve Kerr, Joe. He's had back issues. He's had back surgeries. He's had complications with his health that have caused assistant coaches like Luke Walton to step in or Mike Brown to step in and take over the helm. And we see those coaches perform fantastically. We don't see the lines move. The offseason at which Steve Kerr operates might be his strength. But, I mean, I agree. I'm always been a little bit lower on the Kerr hype train. And I find he often goes on these, like, press conference rants where he's trying to, like, spread it's always a positive message, but personally I always just zone out when he starts going on his long-winded answers. So not the biggest fan of him, and I don't think he impacts a spread or a betting line at all. And he's definitely gotten into some weird rotations. I mean, not playing Jason Tatum when you're up 20-plus points, not playing Joel Embiid. You would think, Joe, that if you're playing against Team USA, you got to make the other team adapt to you. There should be no situation where Jason Tatum is unplayable because of a game script, or Joel Embiid gets played off the floor because he's not as fast as a big man. This guy's that NBA MVP. There should be no instance in which he doesn't make it onto the court.
Just one more for you. 3-on-3 men's basketball is no longer at the Olympics. But if you had to make a 3-on-3 team for Team USA or just throughout NBA players, what do you got?
This is a great question. This is like, the new LeBron versus MJ discussion right now around the Olympics. You could have an endless, exciting conversation around who you got. I'm going to take some length and some versatility. And I think Chet Holmgren, both in his shooting and his defense, becomes an important piece on the interior. But then this is a game, Joe, where you look at the NBA and how much they've gone to three-pointers. In the 3-on-3 game on the Olympics, it's 2s and 1s. So it's actually twice as important to get the three-pointer off. So I'd go Kyrie. I'd look towards Desmond Bane. I know a lot of people are saying Jaylen Brown or potentially Jimmy Butler. I don't think those are the snipers enough that you would need. So assuming I can't take players from Team USA, give me Kyrie, Desmond Bane, and Chet Holmgren.
Interesting. All right, we're talking with sports handicapper Mike Fiddle. You can check him out. Does some work with the Action Network. I know you got the Advantage Sports Podcast as well. You DM'd me about Drake May. I'm kind of interested on this. You asked me, "Hey Joe,
yep,
when do you think he's going to start? How many games? What are you thinking here?" Well, I don't think he's going to start at all. At least right now at camp. I've been down there. Brissett's the guy. I think they've always set the expectation he was going to be the week 1 starter. But there are numbers out there when it comes to betting on Drake May. I would go under, obviously. But tell us some of the numbers that you saw out there regarding Drake May.
So his passing yards prop, Joe, is 2,400 yards. And my eyes just bulged when I saw that and thought, this could be an absolute take Thor's hammer and slam down on the under, because we've heard the Patriots not want to play Drake May in the first few games. And while he's performed great in some off-season stuff, not even training camp, I'm speaking like OTAs and even being out in the community, he's done well in press conferences. It's not translated to on the field yet. So to see a 2,400 line, that implies that he's going to have to play at least 12 games in this now 17-game NFL season, considering Jacoby Brissett is a good bridge starter and the money that they paid him, and considering the Mac Jones experiment, which really failed after his rookie year. He showed promise in his rookie year, but not having the pieces around him kind of stalled the development of Mac Jones. I don't think the Patriots want to play this guy in his rookie season. So I went under on May 2,400, and I think it's an absolute slam spot. I mean, I can't even imagine he's pushing the door on 1,800 plus. And by the time he gets to start, maybe what? Week 10, that's already locked in because you're asking for too much to get to 2,400 in such a short window.
I'm in. I'd get on that before it comes off the board, too. Like if
the only problem, Joe, is if he doesn't play at all, you're pending your money, and it'll probably void. But you'd have to think he ends up playing some snaps, right? There's going to be a Week 6 game where maybe he checks in for an injury for a drive or two. There's going to be a fourth quarter where there's a 20-point lead in either direction where they get him some burn. So as long as he takes a snap, that should cash towards the under. I love it.
All right. So Patriots win totals. The first preseason game this week is the Patriots and the Panthers, which, two of the worst teams in the NFL. I don't know if we see Bryce Young this week. I doubt it.
No.
And I hope we see a little bit of Drake May. I really do. But as far as season win totals go, Patriots are at 4.5, and the Panthers are just around 5.5. I think the Patriots are going to be the worst team in the NFL, but it's been changing a little bit. They've had a little bit more consistency, at least at camp. So I'm on the under. I was curious what you thought about the Patriots and maybe Bryce Young in his second year as well.
I think Bryce Young is poised to take a step forward. It's not just him, but bringing in pieces around him like Deontay Johnson and really the coach. I mean, that coach, Canales, spent 2 years ago reviving Geno Smith, spent last year reviving Baker Mayfield in Tampa, and now he gets head coach reins in Carolina. Try and do the same thing with a young Bryce Young. Joe, if you like the Patriots under 4.5, you should look at them in the direction of worst record in the NFL on an outright and try and get some plus odds because Carolina's taken some steam towards the over. The Giants have actually taken some steam towards the over on their win total. And now this clip emerges of Daniel Jones getting in a fight, and now everyone's thinking he's a dog and wanting to back them. So the number on the Patriots is actually a good number in that sense. I do think they're going to struggle this year. And, if you could play it, get a ladder instead of just the under 4.5. If they end up at 3 or 4 wins, you could get, it escalated. I'm sure it's north of 5-1 to be the worst record in the NFL.
Yeah, I have it plus 345. I got at DraftKings. Worst.
Okay, yeah, that's around the value I would expect.
Yep, and I just think they'll have the least amount of wins is where I'm going with it. So I guess it's both the same thing on that one. I was just curious if you had a number on who will be the starter in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Is there a front runner in your opinion on that one?
So this is actually you're striking a sore spot with me right now, Joe. This was my favorite bet
in the futures market I've seen in years when the line came out, because I loved the Russell Wilson to be the week 1 starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was guaranteed that job when he signed the contract and took a minimum deal. And then they trade for Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is on a contract where if he starts 17 games, you're going to have to give him a big deal. If he comes off the bench or doesn't even play this season, you're giving him a Jacoby Brissett type contract. So even looking forward to the future of the Steelers, it makes more sense for them to go with Russell Wilson if the difference isn't that big, and set your team up for more success in the salary cap with Justin Fields in future years. So the number was minus 750 for Russell to be the week 1 starter. I put a lot of money on it, Joe, between me and you and everyone listening right now. I put a hefty bit down on that, and then Russell Wilson comes out with a soft tissue calf injury, and now it looks a lot closer. I ultimately think it's still Russell's job to lose, and as long as he's back in camp in the next week or two, he should be primarily in pole position to be that week 1 starter. I don't think they're going to take away his job. They were having off-season practices at his house in his backyard in Pittsburgh, and Justin Fields was there. So I would think it's very atypical to have off-season workouts at the backup quarterback's house. So I think Wilson is the week 1 starter. There's no line for it yet, but if that comes back up and you can get a discounted Wilson because of the injury, I would like Wilson in an even bigger way, and I might even double down on it.
Real quick, before I let you go, would you bet on the Red Sox to make the playoffs?
Joe, I used to work for the Yankees, and ever since then, I stopped following baseball. So it might be a great question, but I don't have a good answer.
No, I put you on the spot. I know. I put you on the spot. So you used to work for the Yankees?
I used to work for the Yankees, yeah, and you have to be in a suit and tie, and I'd work every game day. I'd be in the office at 9 a.m. The office is Yankee Stadium. It's kind of just like behind home plate. There's offices. And you have to stay until at least the 5th inning, and it's through the summer, suit and tie. I would be sweating through my suit, and I said, all right, I'm done with done with baseball. I'm a winter sport. Give me basketball and football.
It's like George Costanza.
Exactly.
Well, the more you know, I guess, Mike, All right, appreciate you joining us tonight. He's Michael Fiddle. Check out all his work. Founder of the Advantage Sports Betting Podcast. You get his newsletter. You can read all his work there, and he's a good follow. Fiddle's Picks on X. Mike, appreciate you joining the show tonight. We'll talk again down the line, bud.
Thanks, Joe. Anytime. Drake May under. Let's go.
I'm in. Thanks, buddy. All right. I'm in. I'm on the under for the wins. I'm on the under for Drake May. Might as well call me the Undertaker. 617-779-0985. Well, we always do a daily reminder of the Celtics are the NBA champs. Why don't we do a daily, Steve Kerr. Crap on Steve Kerr segment. We'll do that after the headlines here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right.
Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton not playing a single minute in game 1, which was crazy. You don't not play Jason Tatum. That man just won NBA championship, cover of NBA 2K, cover of Sports Illustrated saying cheers. Just signed the biggest contract in NBA history. Oh, and by the way, your reward is sit down and don't play in the first Olympic game. So when you're going into that game, my thought process was, if you're not going to play two guys, the two guys you're probably not going to play is Tyrese and Derek White. And in 2021, our offense was built around Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. And it was almost kind of set up as though like KD was passing the torch to JT and then JT come out and not play. I couldn't believe that.
Oh, it's starting to spread through the league. Or is it weird that Draymond Green's the one commenting on this? It's a little strange. And I know he's a new podcast guy, and who knows, maybe he's trying to get a new gig with the new TV money that's out there.
He's always got something to say. Always.
Which
I like it, yeah.
Which I like. Consistent enough, though, right? You think Kurt called him? Or does he must smell something funny. He must be like, what happened here? Because wasn't it Draymond who was the guy who said, yep, this is what we talked about. Kerr initiated it. We were wrong. He's the one who was like accountable of it. Not Steve Kerr. Wasn't Steve Kerr. Why I feel like this is a daily thing for us now. It wasn't like the Celtics. And the sad part about it is the Celtics did lose the finals to Steve Kerr. So I'll say that, admittedly.
They lost the finals to Steph Curry.
I agree. But I thought that one was funny. Draymond Green going at his own coach. That was fairly interesting. And then you got Brian Windhorst, Windy, who loves him some Kerr. Loves him some Steve Kerr. But Windy said something very interesting. Two things. Let's just stick Olympics first. This from Saron Battle, our very own Saron. So ESPN and Brian Windhorst believe the 2024 Olympic team is deeper than the 92 team. The 92 Olympic team. Their bench. They were all under 30 at the time. All-time assists, steals, scoring. One guy scored 70 in a game, quadruple doubles. You mean to tell me that compares to Derek White and Bam Adebayo? Out. He said stop it. I'm saying out. I completely agree with that. What a horrendous take. Scats, you mean to tell me this team is better than the 92 team? That had Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, John Stockton, Karl Malone,
Scottie Pippen.
Hall of Famer. What? And you know what? Let's play the game. Let's do it. How many Hall of Famers are on this Olympic team? Let's just do it. Durant, LeBron, Steph. Is Durant, LeBron, Steph better than Jordan, Magic, and Bird?
No. Especially because of age.
I'm sure if you put it up to it, LeBron and Steph probably have better numbers than Bird. I think if you look into it, LeBron and Steph have better numbers than Bird. And I still stand by Jordan's better than LeBron all day long. The real comparison's probably LeBron and Magic Johnson. I think they're like the similar player. To, I don't know, would it be Durant and Jordan? I'm just, it's tough.
The age thing is what really hinders the argument, though, because LeBron is 39. The oldest player on the 92 team was Bird, and he was 35.
And he was retired. Magic Johnson didn't even play in the league.
And he was 32.
And, of course, he had health issues at the time. To me, I don't like that take. That is one. Oh, that's like one where I want like a computer to like break it down. Just like like simulate that.
Someone's going to do it.
The 92 Dream Team is the greatest team I ever saw, and that includes Christian Laettner.
22 at the time of the Dream Team. Christian Laettner.
Is anybody under 21 on the current team? That one gets me. Like that is like a disrespect. The 92 Dream Team is like the greatest team ever assembled. Ever assembled.
They were like all in their prime too. Like David Robinson 26, Ewing was 29, Pippen was 26, Jordan was 29, Drexler was 30, Malone was 28, Stockton 30, Chris Mullin 28, Charles Barkley's 29, Johnson was 32.
John Stockton is probably one of the most underrated players in history and had the most steals and assists in the career at a time.
Couldn't win the big one though.
No, him and the one thing I loved about Stockton though is like he was just so solid. And I get it. Malone was the best player. They had Hornacek and Byron Russell. Greg Ostertag was there for a bit. Like they had players. But I think they were top heavy. They were Stockton and Malone. That's what they were. I mean, Barkley had hardly anything around him until he got Kevin Johnson. And Darren Marley kind of went off. But like when Patrick Ewing, what did he have? He did lose an NBA Finals to Hakeem Olajuwon.
John Starks.
Barely an all-star.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when you look at that team. Oh, that one gets me.
Like, no offense to Tyrese Halliburton or Derek White, but they don't match up with that team. Like, okay, Laettner for one of them, if you want to give the 24 team the nod, but then after that, it's what are we doing here?
The other one was, and I thought this was interesting, but was it Wendy who said this? That the 2024 Celtics would be its own dream team and nobody would beat them.
Yeah, I disagree with that. If the United States is still in the Olympics, the Celtics aren't beating Team USA. I don't think.
I don't think so either, but do you think the three-point style could work in Olympic basketball? Yeah. I watched Brazil do that. Against France. They just kept trying to generate threes, and it shot them out of the game. That's why I thought France is loaded, by the way. Well, they have at least 4 guys that I thought were pretty good. Whatever. Just needed a breather for a second on the baseball and the football talk. You know what we got next? The musings. Murray's musings here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray.
take. Murray's got all sorts on stuff in the world unrelated to sports. So sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a grown man.
If anything bothered me this weekend.
I got one for you.
All right.
Do you set multiple alarms on your phone?
I don't really. Joe, working this shift, I don't set too many alarms, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I like to get up by about 10:30 every day, which I'm sure people are scoffing at right now. But yeah, I try and get 8 hours. I'm usually up by 10 o'clock.
Well, this from the New York Post. Why setting multiple alarms? The sequence of alarms can be harmful to your health. Waking to multiple alarms every morning really disrupts your rapid eye movement. Causes sleep inertia, increased drowsiness, fatigue, mood swings. It also raises your cortisol levels. The ringing alarm trigger or fight of flight response every time they go off, which can be deemed stressful to the body. Over time, a chronic morning fight or flight adrenaline response.
I will be setting an alarm tomorrow morning to play some golf, but yeah, that's about it.
Christina, are you an alarm?
Her boyfriend sets the alarm. Christina not in charge of the alarms.
Not in charge of the alarms. Wow, that's a community thing right there.
Do you set multiple alarms, Joe?
I don't, but you know what I'm really guilty of?
You're a snoozer.
No. So like, let's say I got to be like today I had to do a podcast with lift shots. So I set the alarm for and I wanted to get up before 10. So I just went to 9 and I just scrolled and it landed on 36. And that's when I woke up.
Yeah, I'm not a precise time guy. Just ballpark it.
Yeah, I'm very random when it comes to my very random. Jump in the ring with somebody today, it'd be Roman Reigns. The other two would be Seth Rollins and CM Punk. This guy still
wants a bag.
I think he wants one more bag. You're absolutely right. He wants one more. What else did I see today that I wanted to mention? I had a... Oh, by the way, what do you think about the 3-on-3 basketball tournament?
I mean, it's different. I like it. I don't know if you saw Jimmer Fredette. He got hurt.
Yes.
So, I feel bad that he, dedicated himself to this and then got hurt in like one of their semifinals games and kept playing through it. So, yeah, I don't know. I kind of I get it. The NBA thing is cool, but I kind of like it not being NBA guys too. Like, I think that adds something to it.
Yep. Snoop Dogg's getting paid $500,000 a day to be at the Olympics.
That's an underpay.
What?
No, I'm kidding. That is. I mean, he is everywhere, though, Joe. He is literally everywhere.
This is the person we want representing America?
Give me someone else. Who would you replace Snoop Dogg with? Who's got a higher Q rating than everybody likes Snoop? Everybody knows who he is. I think that's a big part of it, too, is that he's an immediately recognizable person. Like, he's been famous for so long that everyone knows who he is.
I don't have an answer.
Like, I feel like I've seen him and Kevin Hart do some of the Olympic stuff together. I know Kevin Hart's a pretty big name, but I think he wears on people more than Snoop does. I think Snoop can be in the background and up front at all times.
I'm not quick on my feet right now thinking about like I'm trying not to think of an athlete though. I mean, I want to say Taylor Swift.
No, people will complain. They'll say, "Oh, she took over the NFL. Now she's taking over the Olympics."
Okay.
I have no problem with it, but that would be my guess.
Could it be? I guess Tom Hanks. I don't know. So I guess Snoop probably is the right guy. If you have one there. If you have one in chat,
Well, like The Rock, he's another guy that's everywhere, but
okay.
I don't think he'd be as good as Snoop at it.
I don't think he'd be as good as Snoop either.
Will Smith?
Out. See ya. Ooh, what, you got a list there?
I just typed in most famous people.
Who else is on that list?
Oprah?
Nope.
Beyonce? I don't think she'd do it. Snoop Dogg has the rare, like, he's still somehow, no matter how famous or rich he is, like, he's still relatable somehow. Like, I know it doesn't really make sense, but he's more relatable than Beyonce, I think, or Oprah.
He's at WrestleMania every year. He's got the General. He's got gin and juice. I guess I got nothing for you. Not Roger Goodell.
Certainly not.
Not Steve Kerr. A tough one.
Like this list has Clooney, Harrison Ford, De Niro, Pacino, but like I think they're too old.
They're too old. That's why I said Tom Hanks.
And I'm sure Snoop's right around their age, but he doesn't seem as old.
A tough one. I guess
Adam Sandler. I'm reaching, Joe. I'm reaching. Will Ferrell.
Oh, this is the one that I had for tonight. Our buddy Tom Karen, who listens every night on his way home, tried out what we talked about the other night, the Pasquich. An Italian beef sandwich with bacon and hash browns. And he tried it tonight. And I think that he's worried about his health.
There's a lot of intake there.
Yes, I'm trying to pull it back up because
some high sodium levels, maybe.
He goes, thanks to everyone for checking in. Your thoughts and prayers are appreciated, but I haven't had to visit the EMT tent. He ate the Pasquich, and he made it. That beef looks really dry. Like if that was on the North Shore, it'd be unacceptable. I'm not going to spoil it just yet. Birthdays today. Christina helped us out with these, so shout out to her. Anthony Edwards, 23 years old. Olivia Holt, 27. Patrick Reed, golfer, 34. Paula Creamer, golfer. Don Richards, 41. Lolo Jones, Jesse Williams, 43. Carl Crawford, 43 years old. Lori Fair, 46. John Wasden. That was Olerud. Remember him?
John Olerud and Eric Hinsky.
Oh.
Another former Red Sox.
James Wilder, 61. Patrick Ewing, Dream Team, 62. Pat Smear, who is the unofficial fourth member of Nirvana, but is in the Foo Fighters. Retired now for the Foo Fighters. Bernie Carbo, 77. Neil Armstrong would have been 94 years old today.
I got two, and you might have said them. Did you say Anthony Edwards?
Yes.
Did you say Funkmaster Flex?
I did not.
Funkmaster Flex birthday today.
Funkmaster Flex, 60 Minutes of Funk, 1999 was my jam. Our basketball team played that. They had so much like DJ Clue going. It was outstanding. But yeah, 1999 in Catholic Suburban League champions. Yes, that was our soundtrack. Funkmaster Flex, 60 Minutes of Funk.
Do you know Funkmaster Flex's real name?
I do not.
Aston George Taylor Jr.
Oh, who's senior? Is he
Funkmaster Senior. Senior Junior.
Flexing. Yeah, that was a 1999. We had that. We had DMX Rough Riders and DJ Clue, but I forget the name of the album. Those were our songs. And then we came out to We Bomb First by Tupac. All over the map there. All over the map on that one. 60 Minutes of Funk. I could probably put that on right now and know the whole album. The only thing is like, Funkmaster Flex was always like in the... You know how like DJ Khaled's like, we the best? Funkmaster Flex was always like, remix! You know, like, or it'd be like, Clue! Cameron! Get back! It was like, that's what he did, but then all of a sudden...
Metro Boomin.
Yeah, but then like, Khaled was always like, we the best! It just, he had it. He was very good at his job. All right, we'll tell you the score of the Red Sox game. It is ripped open.
Fair Tire Studio, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Bruins, and the Revolution play here. WBZ-FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Well, the Red Sox have busted the game wide open. They now lead 8-2, bottom of the seventh inning. Connor Wong went deep to make it 5-2. Then Rafael Devers scored on a wild pitch. And then Romy Gonzalez, 450 feet, 2-run homer. It is now 8-2. James Paxton, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned at 4 strikeouts through 90 pitches. He has been relieved by Cooper Criswell. Sox up 8-2. Great performance tonight by James Paxton and the offense. Patriots, day 10 of camp. Quarterbacks were in action. Matthew Judon also spoke to the media. Doesn't sound happy. And the Kansas City Chiefs have signed Harrison Butker. Highest paid kicker in the league. 4 years, $25 million, $17 million guaranteed. Headlines, they are brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Take strokes off your game by taking pounds off your frame. With Awaken 180, how many birdies can you uncover? Awaken180weightloss.com. I'm Joe Murray. Your next update soon.
You want to talk sports? We want to talk sports.
Squeeze the chicken and open the mouth.
We were meant for each other.
This is why you need us.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5, the Sports Hub final hour here. Later in the hour, we'll tell you what's up for this week. We got 2 interruptions. I didn't mention this, but Tom Brady turned 47 over the weekend. He still has not shut the door on playing. Tom Brady kicked the door open on possibly returning to the NFL, but he's yet to slam the door shut. He'd be only the 3rd person to play at the age of 47 or older. He'd be the first quarterback to play at that age. I know Devontae Adams has said he'd want him. The Raiders are going with Aiden O'Connell at the moment. I think he's going to follow this thing. Charlie Weiss recently suggested that with the 49ers, Brady would be a top 5 or top 10 player at the position. And the 49ers are dealing with some things with Brock Purdy at camp. If a starting quarterback goes down, will Tom Brady's phone ring? Yes or no, Skaz?
Depends on the team. Like if Brock Purdy goes down, he's getting a phone call.
When you say team, is it team or backup? Like if the Rams and Stafford goes down and Jimmy G takes over? Nope.
No, he's not. I think it's the Eagles or the 49ers. Like teams that are ready-made rosters.
Win now.
Win now.
What about Houston Texans if Stroud went down?
I can't. I don't know. Don't do it. He already played in a Bucs uniform. I don't want to see him in a Texans uniform. Tom Brady, Houston Texan. No, thank you.
That's gross.
Yeah, out on that.
Out.
The famous playoff starts from T.J. Yates and Brian Hoyer.
I'm trying to think of some other like who are the options?
I'll give you one. Goff goes down. Do the Lions make a phone call?
Where did he play college? Michigan. Between Laporta, around St. Brown, J-Mo, the line,
the running back,
Gibbs, the defense, that's a good team because there's some sort of link to it, right?
I'll give you one more. J.G. McCarthy struggles or gets hurt. Do they say, hey, Tom Brady, come in, mentor your little Michigan buddy here, J.J. McCarthy. We have a pretty good roster. Justin Jefferson, Brian Flores is there, I believe, still. The coach is one of Brady's former backups.
Ooh.
There's a couple ties there.
Ooh.
I'd rather see him in a Vikings jersey than a Texans jersey.
Texans are a better team, though.
Yeah, but I think the ties. Brady, he knows McCarthy. He knows Kevin O'Connell. He gets Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, the Packers are out of the division, so it's no Rodgers in there.
Jordan Love with that contract.
Is there another team? Still always bring up the Raiders. I just don't think they're good enough.
Yeah, that would be no thanks.
For all the people that are like, Brady's not coming back. His birthday was this weekend. And he hasn't closed the door. So therefore, 'tis a story. You may not like it.
Isn't like his mom from Minnesota too? Remember Minnesota was one of the teams before he signed with the Bucs? It was like, oh, he has family ties in Minnesota or something. I remember that being like a small storyline. I don't see it happening, but I think other than the Eagles and 49ers, the Lions and Vikings are other teams that it, at least on paper, because of Kevin O'Connell and McCarthy, it makes some sense. But I kind of hope he's done. Don't come back and ruin it. Don't ruin it.
The only situation for me is the 49ers. It's the only situation. And dude, Brock Purdy's struggling right now. We'll get into this on the other side here. Because there is a comp. There's a comp regarding the Patriots. But Brock Purdy's struggling right now. It's camp. It's camp. So I don't know if it's worth freaking out about, but I wonder if this contract thing's in the back of his head. I'm sorry. He does not deserve an extension this year. Brock Purdy does not deserve an extension. Right? He has a lot to prove. I know he's been to a Super Bowl. He's already proven he can play in the league. He's proven it. And when he got hurt, you knew.
I mean, he's kind of on the Jimmy G path right now, isn't he? Like, good player, can win you some games, game manager.
Ceiling?
But
what's the ceiling?
And his injuries. The injuries are adding up. It's a Jimmy G.
It's a good comparison. I want to relate this to the Patriots and something that I read this weekend by Chad Finn, who wrote something about this. We'll get all that on the other side. We got our eyes on the Red Sox as well. They're in the bottom of the 7th. So once that kind of gets closer to ending, we'll hit on that. We'll take a quick break. I'm Joe Murray here on the Sports Hub.
You're listening to Joe Murray.
All right, back here in 98.5, the Sports Hub. We are waiting on the end of this Red Sox game, but it's getting interesting. We'll tell you about that later. But I was just mentioning Brock Purdy. And I blame Colin Cowherd for all of this. But is there a similarity of what the 49ers did in 2001 and what the Patriots did this year? Is there a similarity? The 49ers drafted Trey Lance, number 3 overall. Before the draft, all the talk was they were interested in Mac Jones. They were. Jones ended up falling to 15 to the Patriots. In the later rounds, they drafted Brock Purdy, a kid with a ton of experience from Iowa State, played in 2 Big 12 championship games. Now, Brock Purdy was undersized, but he was a really good player in college. Experienced player in college. But body type, arm, size. Those were his biggest issues. But overall, he earned an opportunity to get drafted and make a team. And he did. Made the team. Trey Lance was drafted because of all the upside that he had. He had a ton of upside. Played at a small, FCS school, I guess at the time. Had all the upside in the world, and they just did not need to go with they didn't have to go with a big-time quarterback because they had Jimmy Garoppolo. So you mentioned the Garoppolo factor on that one. Look what the Patriots did this year. They had multiple opportunities to select a guy they want. They could have went with J.J. McCarthy. They could have went with Michael Penix. They could have went with Bo Nix. Now, they probably could have traded up, but they would have had to given up a ton for it, and it didn't work out. They landed on Drake May, and then later in the draft took Joe Milton. Compare the two, Drake May played 2 years of college, sat behind Sam Howell for one of them. Joe Milton had 3 years at Michigan, and then 3 years at Tennessee. At one point, he was ahead of Hendon Hooker. Got hurt. Hooker took over and dominated. Milton was a fine player at Tennessee. He was fine. Didn't turn the ball over a ton, but had some issues. So, Skaz, this is where I bring in the Brock Purdy versus Joe Milton debate. Brock Purdy was a fine college player who has some limitations. I think Joe Milton has a lot of skill set, but has some limitations. So comparing the two, is there a comparison of Drake May to Joe Milton to Trey Lance to Brock Purdy?
I'm going to lean no, because I think the traits they're flipped. You're getting the freak athlete in Joe Milton. Like, for me, that's a tough comparison because of who Joe Milton was in college, what he was asked to do compared to what Brock Purdy was asked to do in college and now what he's being asked to do in the NFL. Like, Brock Purdy is, other than, maybe Goff in his early time with McVay, I don't know if there's another QB in the league who's had the kid gloves treatment in game as much as Brock Purdy.
Oh, I was going to say Sam Bradford, but
it's the same type of thing, though, right? Like, it's a McVay thing. So I think comparing Purdy, who is a game manager, doesn't rely on his athleticism, to someone like Joe Milton, who almost solely relies on his athleticism and, freak arm that we always hear about. I just think that's I don't see the correlation there. I get that's Cowherd's thing, but I just think it doesn't work. That's not what happened. Like, the roster of the 49ers is what elevated Brock Purdy, not the other way around. Brock Purdy didn't elevate that roster. Yep. He manages that roster.
I agree.
So, yeah, I just think when you have a guy like Trey Lance or Joe Milton or Drake May, those guys, because of their athleticism, are asked to elevate rosters, not manage them. Brock Purdy is managing a roster. So I just think it's a totally different, type of quarterback.
You wrote an article at 985thesportshub.com.
If you can find it.
I just posted it, I know, somewhere. It's on.
No, it showed up. It showed up.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Your article headline is Jacoby Brissett's impact on the Patriots. And I kind of started out with this today. I do think he is the perfect guy. Can he be a Geno Smith? Can he be one of these guys who's a one-year stopgap, who gets the opportunity, who plays well with someone he's comfortable with, that he's played with before, but also be a mentor?
Can he be an Alex Smith? Can he be the consummate professional, which we all think he is? So
Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes, you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. Like, obviously, that's, the dream.
Nobody knew Patrick Mahomes was that guy at the time.
Exactly. And how good of a mentor Jacoby Brissett is, I'm not trying to oversell it that his mentorship or his, professionalism is what's going to elevate Drake May, but it is an advantage. It is something in the NFL to get that experience. We talked about Bo Nix last week. Bo Nix is walking into a Sean Payton offense where his QB room, the guys he's going to lean on, are Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham.
Well, Jarrett Stidham played under Tom Brady, remember?
Well, good for Jarrett Stidham. So did Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jacoby Brissett's had some NFL success. Or you look at J.J. McCarthy, who
or Zach Wilson was under Aaron Rodgers.
Another guy.
Like, is that what they're thinking here?
And those guys are put in positions where, look at McCarthy, he's expected to start. He's in a QB battle with Sam Darnold, or Bo Nix is in a QB
Darnold,
battle.
Who was thrown in and struggled, who I think was in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Who was the next guy and something happened.
Now they have Josh Dobbs, and I don't know if that was the right trade-off. I almost think Darnold fits that system better, but I'm not a Sam Darnold believer either. But just Jacoby Brissett is a good to great NFL mentor, and I know that's not sexy. It's not exciting that you're the Patriots and now you're getting excited about a QB's mentor. But little advantages are what you need, especially in the NFL at the quarterback position. And if Drake May can learn from Jacoby Brissett as opposed to being thrown into the fire in a QB room with Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham or Sam Darnold, or sit behind an irritated Aaron Rodgers in New York, or just these other situations. I think that's a very small thing, but it can pay dividends long term. And Drake May just seeing how things work, how you handle things. Everyone in that locker room knows Drake May is the future. Jacoby Brissett knows that, and he's okay with that. A lot of guys in the NFL, quarterbacks especially, are not okay with that.
Like maybe Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins and Penix, that situation. So you have a young
Roethlisberger didn't want them to draft Mason Rudolph at the time.
He told them not to, basically, right? Yeah, so Drake May has as far as the NFL goes, a pretty soft landing spot. And I think that's something the Patriots should take advantage of. You don't need to throw this kid into the fire.
And Aaron Rodgers did it to Jordan Love.
And Brett Favre did it to Aaron Rodgers.
Brady did it to Jimmy Garoppolo. That you don't have that here. Did all those situations work out? I mean, in Brady's case, it did. They won another Super Bowl, or two.
He's Tom Brady, yeah.
But it did. In Rodgers' case, it worked out for the Packers, I'd say.
But I bet you Rodgers would say, I sat too long.
Yeah. I'm both their kid. Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to think, what was the other one? And we don't know yet about Kirk Cousins. It worked for, Josh Allen played right away. Would you say it worked for him to play right away? Because he struggled.
He really struggled. There were a lot of growing pains with Josh Allen. And a lot of people thought it's never going to work.
Do you think Buffalo, because they had, E.J. Manuel and
Christian Ponder, I think, might have been there.
Cardell Jones.
And
then going way back, J.P. Loseman, and it was
Kyle Orton was there for him. Yeah.
It was bad.
It was Drew Bledsoe was there.
It was bad.
So, yeah, I mean.
It was almost like they had to hit on Josh Allen.
They forced him. They were like, you're just going to play. But you could look at it and say maybe he would have developed better if he got to sit. Maybe the injuries wouldn't add up as much as they are because he's a big physical kid that likes to use his body.
Can I give you another one? Tua Tagovailoa. Was he given the keys right away? Didn't they go? Was it Matt Moore? I'm trying to remember the.
Well, I remember Skylar Thompson had to start a game for them late in the season.
That's because he got hurt. Teddy Bridgewater got hurt.
Teddy Bridgewater was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tua is another one where, like, Tua is a good player, but when it gets cold out or he gets hit, I'm not a Tua guy.
That playoff game this year was evident that I honestly do really think he's a great player. I do.
If it's 75 degrees out, there's no wind or no rain.
Yeah, he's a great player that, unfortunately, probably should have played in a dome and get home field advantage. That Chiefs game this year was not great.
Not great.
That was not good. The Drake May discussion really is very interesting, to the point where now I respect what the Patriots are doing. I almost want it to happen. I want Brissett to play. I want May to be on a sideline with a clipboard and a headset. Like I want all of that to happen. So I'll ask you this. Is there any shot he's the emergency quarterback and Zappy's the backup? Or Joe Milton, for that matter?
Yeah, isn't that almost how they kind of have to do it? Because of...
He dresses every game.
Yeah.
He's not going to play until the fourth quarter if there's an injury. But he's dressed every game, headset on. But if something happened to Brissett, because he's a runner, would Zappy just go in and May's still on the sideline there and waiting for the fourth quarter injury?
I mean, that's kind of what I expect, right? Your boy Zappy being thrown to the wolves.
Can't wait.
Let me give you the opposite, because I heard Beetle talking about this earlier today, that he was someone like us who believed in the Jacoby Brissett experience, thought bringing in Jacoby Brissett was the right move to mentor Drake May. But now, being at training camp and seeing it firsthand, he does not like the Jacoby Brissett signing, and he believes Brissett to be, I think he said, too much of a binky for Alex Van Pelt and too much of a shield for Alex Van Pelt.
So what you're saying is what Beetle was saying. I'm saying it a little bit differently. I think Van Pelt's here because he's getting a job, and so therefore, he's gonna bring in a guy that knows his system, so he can help
implement his offense.
Yes. I asked Barth this yesterday. This is why I'm bringing this up. He doesn't think Van Pelt and his system will delay Drake May.
And that was kind of the worry before with McDaniels and stuff was, they have to simplify everything. So with Van Pelt, we're kind of getting things don't need to be simplified.
Well, this is why I think Bill O'Brien was never going to work out. That was my take that got lost when I said he was suspect. What Bill O'Brien does, you can't simplify with Mac Jones. You could, and they didn't even give Zappy the opportunity. Fact. Zappy could have taken it. He didn't. But they had to dumb it down. It was kind of like, teams would be like, yeah, we'll give you the left midfield because we know that guy can't throw it there. He can't make the throw. Just the simple throw to the end zone, a fade against the Colts, right? In London, Germany, wherever it was, one of those places, Germany. He couldn't do it. So therefore, they could not call plays because of their ability. I think with these two quarterbacks, ability is not the issue. I think Brissett's got a strong arm and can move. Same thing for May. I just wonder long-term, is Van Pelt the guy? So to Beetle's point, I think he's talking about the binky, this is what Van Pelt needs to succeed. I'm talking about the future. Is Van Pelt going to be here when May's the guy? Barr seems to think that they can both coexist. What if Van Pelt has a good year and another team needs an offensive coordinator and it's a guy, he's got a binky there? I wonder if he's here long-term. That's my take on it. All right, 617-779-0985. Wow, a healthy quarterback discussion there. And you can read Ciaz's article, 985thesporttip.com. I just posted it at Joey Murr on Twitter if you want to go check that out. We are awaiting what is going on in the Red Sox game. And I did want to mention just something regarding, because I had this in an NFL news note. Oh, something going on? I had this in an NFL news note. But the Falcons' plan with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix, it's working. It's working so far. Wow.
This is breaking sports news. Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change on 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Well, things are heating up a little bit here in the Brandon Ayuk trade. The 49ers have negotiated the framework of trades that would send receiver Brandon Ayuk to the Cleveland Browns and the New England Patriots. This, according to NBC Sports Bay Area. It's up to Ayuk to determine if he will accept the contract terms from either of the franchises. I brought this up earlier tonight. If you're Brandon Ayuk, who are you choosing? The Patriots or Cleveland? It's a no-brainer. To me, it is. Cleveland. He's to play with Amari Cooper and all these others. Plus, they'll probably give him the money.
You think Brandon Ayuk still wants to play behind somebody? If he wants to be a real one.
Okay, let me throw something else at you. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Ayuk. The better player is probably Ayuk. Who's the better contract? Ridley.
Well, we got to see what the number is, right, with Ayuk?
Well, it's $30 million.
It's going to be 30, yeah. I'm not so convinced that Cleveland is that much better of a spot than New England.
Is there any relationship with Deshaun Watson or DTR and Ayuk? Well, DTR, Ayuk, Arizona State, UCLA, I guess. I don't know if there's anything there.
Well, Jaden Daniels was the connection people kept saying, Washington. But it seems like Washington's out.
Go figure that the Van Pelt was a part of both of these programs. If we're looking at Cleveland right now, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. That's a crowded room there. They have other guys, Cedric Tillman, Jamari Thrash they drafted. That's between Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and Amari Cooper. Ayuk's instantly their outside wide receiver. You put Jeudy in the slot, oh boy.
So the rumor from what I'm seeing is it would be Kendrick Bourne and picks.
So Kendrick Bourne is hurt.
Well, it says the 49ers would likely acquire a veteran wide receiver and a package of draft picks from the Browns or Patriots.
So realistically, it would be money. Because Bourne's just a player.
But he's been there before. He knows the system.
Yep. They're in win now mode. They're probably better off getting a guy that needs more time. Because Ayuk's going to need time when he comes back, right?
Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com reports that the Browns would be in a position to add Ayuk if wide receiver Amari Cooper were sent to the 49ers as part of the trade.
Now that's a holdup.
Now that's something there.
And did he get a new extension or is he waiting out for one? Amari Cooper had a hell of a game last year. You know what? Let's digest this one. Let's digest this. Patriots or Browns, you're Brandon Ayuk. Where do you want to go? And I'll tell you, if Amari Cooper's involved in the trade and he accepts it, if he accepts Cleveland and Cooper's gone, he's going to Cleveland. But if it's just picks and Kendrick Bourne, it's just money for the New England Patriots. It's just money. And I'll give you one more thing. The Matthew Judon thing. Don't escape that one. The 49ers are in win now mode, and if they acquired Matthew Judon, we did this last week. $6.5 million. They have the most cap space after the Patriots. Let's hit the headline. We'll give you more on this on the other side.
Sports Hub headlines.
All right, we have.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here at 98.5 The Sports Hub. We got ourselves a situation. 49ers have agreed on a framework of a potential Brandon Ayuk trade with either the Patriots or the Browns. It's up to Ayuk to determine which team he'll accept the contract terms to. So earlier, my take was, if you were Brandon Ayuk, are you going to pick the Patriots? No. I think Cleveland's the better option, in my opinion. They have a really good wide receiver room. And if you look at it, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Jerry Jeudy. They drafted Jamari Thrash. They have Cedric Tillman still there. David Bell's another guy that's made some plays for them. They have a deep room. The Patriots have young players and money. If Ayuk accepts the trade, you would assume that team is going to sign him to a long-term deal. 8 players in the league, 8 receivers make $25 million or more. So the framework is, and this was reported again by the Bay Area, by a credible guy, 30 years in the business. I'm just reading through the report right now. Matt Malacco and Jennifer Lee Chan. They're both on this one. Ayuk and the 49ers have not engaged on contract talks for months. He's 26. He's led the team in yards, 75 catches, 300 yards. I went over the numbers earlier. It's just money. If you're the Patriots, it's money, right? It's money. If you're swapping out Kendrick Bourne, Matthew Judon, whatever, in a few picks, it's just money. For the Browns, it's a different story. Would you rather give Amari Cooper a long-term deal or Brandon Ayuk? And I think there's no question it's Brandon Ayuk. To Skaz's point, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah, there's some names in there. Does he want to be, tied into the situation he's already in, where Kittle and Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey are the guys? So I think he'd be the main target if he went to Cleveland. I do. But they still have guys to feed. Nick Chubb, right? Guys like that. We mentioned what Cooper did last year. Jerry Jeudy just came over in a trade. If it's Kendrick Bourne in picks or Judon, it's a no-brainer for the Patriots. Here's where it comes down to. We watched this whole entire offseason of coordinators turning down the Patriots. Left and right. Offensive-minded guys in the league turn the Patriots down. Will Brandon Ayuk turn the Patriots down? Who does Brandon... I'm just trying to find a relationship for Ayuk. He can call his boy N'Keal Harry and see how things were in New England, right? I don't think Brissett and Ayuk... I'm just trying to find a connection with the Patriots. I don't see it. Stefanski, they went to the playoffs last year. And Amari Cooper wants a new deal. He's in the final year of his deal. I think it's Cleveland. But it would be a home run for the New England Patriots if it's Kendrick Bourne and his $3 million. I'm going to throw Matthew Judon in the mix. And his $6.5 million. And like a third-round pick. Let's just say that's the framework. That would be an absolute steal for the Pats. All they need to do is money. Judon doesn't want to be here. Bourne's just not going to be ready to go, at least of now. He's already been there. This is the situation. Where do you want to play? New England or Cleveland? And if I'm Brandon Ayuk, it's Cleveland all day. You got the offensive-minded coach. You have Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Taylor Huntley. Like, there are 4 quarterbacks there. The Patriots have 2 and 1 in the if you're making the Ayuk trade for the Patriots, it's to impact Drake May's future. That's why you're making the trade. Anything else you see on this, guys? I'm spitballing right now.
I just flew through the Patriots coaching staff to see if I could find any connections, and not really too many ties.
No, like
to,
Arizona State. No, you know.
No, I was looking. Wide receivers coach is a former Washington Huskies guy.
Do you think the Browns and 49ers had a discussion? Hey, listen, we're not comfortable giving Amari Cooper a long-term deal. We just gave Jerry Jeudy the money. How about a swap? 2 guys basically in the final year of their deal who are going to make $20+ million. Cooper's older, right? Much older, I assume. He is, what is he? 30. The 49ers, the 49ers are in win now mode. Final hour of the Sports Hub, by the way, brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com. 15% off your next drive-through oil change. Weymouth, Canton, Bedford, Natick. We have ourselves a developing story here. If you were Brandon Ayuk, who would you choose? I think it's Cleveland. But if it's Kendrick Bourne and picks, it just cost you money. All right, Scaz, great job. Christina, thank you as well. I'm Joe Murray. We're back. We got something to talk about. And the Revs tomorrow night here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Be sure to tune into the Off-Air Show with Felger every Wednesday just after 6 p.m. on the 98.5 The